This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Monday. Troll Patrol on a Monday. It's been a while. It actually hasn't. It's been like 2 weeks. We had the RNC like 2 weeks ago. God, that was horrible. But we're back to our usual schedule where we be finding out what that news be doing, because that news be doing all kinds of shit. Hayes, DJ Dub, Porg, good evening, Clinically. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. Spoiler alert. No, I guess that's not. Not really a spoiler alert. Hold on, let me. I'm not high enough for this shit. Hold on. Try this again. I know, it's like I wasn't prepared or something. I was feeling really bad. I had a fucking headache. I took a nap. Sky Comet, thank you for the resub. You were awesome. What? Everybody's always like, I'm your favorite mod. I'm the head mod. What is it with you guys? We're like, you're supposed to be communists. Well, not necessarily you, Sky Comet. You're more on the liberal side. Everybody's wanting a hierarchical society in the chat. And I had to force DJ Dub to be a mod again. Y'all are weird. Pork, everybody's top mod. Flash, good evening. I am feeling much better. I went over to the dollar store, got some aspirin or Advil. Much better now. Progressive. A progressive liberal. I think I'm a shit lib too. It's okay. Yes, ReStreamBot is technically the head mod. Venus, good evening. Also, I didn't know they made this shit. This is raspberry Coke. I love raspberry. I don't know if you guys know this or not. Like, Curiouser made me a raspberry cheesecake, a dark chocolate raspberry cheesecake for my birthday, because I fucking love raspberry. When I'm drinking tea, I'm usually drinking raspberry tea. Warlord's just got longevity, right? Warlord, if you guys are not aware of this, Warlord's like follow date of me on Twitch is January 6th, 2021. That's the day that Warlord came aboard this ship. If you guys are not in the Discord, Warlord does a really good job of keeping you abreast on what that news be doing when I'm not around. I like a blackberry. I like a raspberry. I like a strawberry. I'm into all of it. And I really like you go to like a soda jerk. Fair enough, Venus, fair enough. It's the news you will get in the Discord is probably more UK centric than what you're getting on the stream. But he still keeps that news lord. He keeps an eye on what's going on over here. Here is your meme of the day. Still only the second most metal thing to happen to Marie Antoinette. Guy comment, I don't know if he's actually a Trump supporter or not. Oh, shit. He heard us talking about him. I think he's a chaos supporter. It's not necessarily that he's into Trump. He's into whatever causes the most chaos and uproarious instances. That's what I'm assuming. I don't think Trump's going to win. And it appears that Democrats have... also, Venezuela is the third story. We're starting off with Israel tonight, Warlord. And I've got 3 Israel stories. And then Venezuela. I actually had Venezuela at the top for tonight. That was the very top story. But I bumped it down because, like, the Israel thing's kind of egregious. It was... And I thought that the flow of the stories worked better going from Venezuelan presidential politics to U.S. presidential politics. So that is my thought process on how I organize the stories tonight. And a big chunk of the show is going to be devoted to how Republicans are just little weird guys, little weirdos. The Democrats have hit on what seems to be a winning message going into this election. Republicans are weird. Because they are. And boy, do I have examples of Republicans being just weird little dudes. I've got a clip of Jack Posobiec. I got this dude introducing Trump at one of his rallies. I got Andrew Klavan from the Daily Wire being a strange little sexist weirdo. Apparently one of the front runners to be named Kamala Harris's vice presidential candidate has withdrawn his name from the race. It was one of the people that I was rooting for, unfortunately. Chuck Schumer is calling on Donald Trump to replace J.D. Vance in the presidential race, which is hilarious. We're going to take a look at the possible electoral pathways that Kamala Harris is likely to try to utilize in her bid for the White House. The creator of the HBO TV show Veep goes on CNN to talk about how art imitated life. Or no, life imitated art in this instance. We're going to hear from Joe Biden and his plan to reform the Supreme Court. A 4.9 magnitude earthquake hit, I think it was Nevada, but it rocked California. The park fire has continued to explode. Dollywood. Flash flooding last night. There was a mass stabbing in the UK. Not to be outdone, we here in the United States show the UK how it's done, and we have a couple mass shootings. On top of that, I'll give you a mass burglary happening in Oakland. Truck turned over in New York. A YouTuber caused a train derailment. Jennifer Garner got trapped in an elevator. Jennifer Aniston had oil thrown on her face. And I'm going to show you a French Olympic diver whose Speedo bulge is causing all the women to go crazy. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol live. Holiday. Good evening, everyone. God, I can't catch up on what all you guys been saying. Kamala is a ding-dong. John Kennedy said so. Is that what he called her? I can believe that. I can believe that Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana literally called Kamala Harris a God damn it. Well, I guess I'll put it in the gigantic pile of right-wingers being little weirdos. Oh, God, there's another Trump clip I can put in the pile. Yep, he sure as fuck did. Earlier this afternoon on Fox News, it appears. Well, you know how much I love Senator Kennedy.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth.
Tenson,
going to give
thank
you
you.
the
I
blowjob
appreciate
of
you
your life,
hooking me up with
then I
a
want
link
you
for
inside
cheap
of
viewers. I think you're awesome. I love you, even. He's just so folksy, guys. Calling the vice president a ding-dong. Ding-dongs are also, like, they're pretty good. M. Lord, good evening. Welcome in. I know they're a bot. I mean, I'm dumb, but I'm not that dumb. Come on, I'm Venus. Come on. Oh my God. The first 10-15 minutes of the show are going to be extremely difficult to watch. So, content warning. We're going to be talking about violence. We're going to be talking about sexual violence. It's gruesome, so you've been forewarned. Israel is vowing retaliation after the strike on the Golan Heights.
Escalating in the Middle East this morning as Israel vows to retaliate after a deadly rocket attack killed 12 children
Is not
and
a
injured
bot.
dozens in the Golan Heights area Saturday. Both Israel and the U.S. are blaming Lebanon's militant group Hezbollah for the strike, though Hezbollah has denied responsibility. CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tayeb is in Beirut, Lebanon, with the latest on this weekend's attack. Good to see you. Just what kind of retaliation?
Yeah, it's going to be tough to watch, Sky
talking
Comment.
about here.
And Marie, good to be with you too. Listen, we've been trying to get to Beirut for the last 24 hours, and we were basically unable to because a number of flights had been canceled by airlines who had very legitimate concerns that Israel were going to carry out pretty serious strikes here inside Lebanon, potentially here in Beirut, where I am now. Now, that hasn't happened. We know that Israel's Security Cabinet met last night after Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu returned back to Israel, cut short that trip in Washington, D.C. that he had when he addressed Congress there. But what we do know is that Israel and Israeli officials has said that they are going to carry out strikes that will, and I'm quoting here, Anne-Marie, hurt. However, they have said what they don't want is to trigger an all-out war with Hezbollah.
But that's how you get an all-out war with Hezbollah.
Strikes that, again, in Israeli officials' own words, that hurt, but does not trigger a major response from Hezbollah. And Marie.
Really, especially when you have the Lebanese Hezbollah movement denying that they were involved in this at all. Now, they have been trading fire with Israeli forces basically since October 7th. What proof have they offered that they were not involved in this latest attack?
Yeah, it's a very good question, and the short answer is that they haven't really offered anything beyond a denial. And we've been talking to people here.
No, it's part of Israel.
About why Hezbollah would deny it. Some suggesting that small factions may have been responsible, though Israel saying that the munitions used in that strike, that devastating strike out here in Beirut, where I am.
I can see how like that would be taken as part of Syria. No, I'm pretty sure that it's part of Israel's territory.
And now that hasn't, but does not trigger a major response from Hezbollah. And Marie.
Really, especially when you have the Lebanese Hezbollah movement denying that they were involved in this at all. Now, they have been trading fire.
I was smelling something.
Basically since October 7th. What proof have they offered that they were not involved?
One of my cats farted or some
attack?
shit.
Yeah, it's a very good question, and the short answer is that they haven't really offered anything beyond a denial. And we've been talking to people here in Lebanon about why Hezbollah would deny it, some suggesting that small factions may have been responsible, although Israel saying that the munition used in that strike, that devastating strike, Anne-Marie, in which 12 people were killed, many under the age of 15, that it's pretty much certain that it was carried out by Hezbollah. Whatever the case, as there are certainly attempts, not just from Hezbollah, to dial things down to ensure that we don't see a major escalation in violence, including from the U.S. and other regional partners as well. You point out a very crucial issue here, which is almost immediately after Hamas's deadly October 7th attack, Hezbollah has been trading fire with Israel nearly every single day. In fact, I'm going to read some numbers out to you, which I find just staggering. Now, these figures come from Event Data Project, which analyzed a number of these strikes, almost all of them, and they say that combined strikes, cross-border attacks between the 8th of October and the 5th of July number 7,491. Here
God
in
damn.
Lebanon, over 90,000 people in southern Lebanon have been displaced, over 100 civilians killed, and several hundred Lebanese fighters, or Hezbollah fighters as well. And it really just underscores the fact that although there's this huge attempt to not see a major war escalate, we've already seen extraordinary and tragic violence.
Seems like a war to me.
People suggesting that a wider war is already underway, and when you look at you see those numbers, you can understand why someone would argue that. Here's the thing, though: Hezbollah, backed by Iran, much more formidable opponent to Israel than Hamas, and Israel is already clearly at war. There must be concerns that the Israeli military just is not ready, and certainly, the Israeli population would not be interested, but the Israeli military is not ready to take on another opponent.
Guess what?
Well, as you know, I've been covering Israel almost for many years, especially since October the 7th. The Israeli military is exhausted. Israeli soldiers have been cycled through Gaza over and over again. They're running low on weapons and munitions. The idea of starting or engaging in an all-out war with Hezbollah, which, as you said, is a formidable fighting force, far more than Hamas has ever been able to be, would be devastating, not just for Israel, but also for Lebanon as well. But some of our viewers at home might be wondering, why is Hezbollah so...
Hezbollah sounds fun. not the group, just the word Hezbollah. Like, how some people will yell out Huzzah. Like, it sounds like you could take the place of Huzzah. Hezbollah. It's a fun sounding word.
Powerful. Well, it's like you said. And
yeah, Houthi is fun too.
Connection with Iran, and that connection with Iran is connected to what was happening next door in Syria, that devastating civil war in Syria in which Hezbollah fought
cancel Justin.
Bashar al-Assad, the Syrian president, who carried out horrific violence against his own people, the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Syrians, and he is still in power. And so Hezbollah learned to fight. They are far more well-trained and have far more powerful weapons than anything Israel has encountered with Hezbollah in previous conflicts. And so if a war happens, because of what may come in the next 24 hours or so, it will be very, very devastating. Anne-Marie.
Wow. Things are certainly...
Wow.
Yes, thank you very much.
That's probably the reason why he's saying it Hezbollah. It sounds more menacing when you say Hezbollah. I'm saying Hezbollah. Sounds less menacing and more celebratory. Hezbollah. The fuck is wrong with me? I used to do the news, seriously. I used to do the real news. Huge smoke cloud erupts after explosion in southern Gaza. This is just in the last few hours. This is the Khan Yunis, the Gaza Strip. See the explosion in the distance. I don't know that we have any idea what that actually is. Came after Israel's military ordered a new evacuation at the weekend of part of a designated humanitarian zone ahead of a planned strike on the southern city. The order was in response to rocket fire that Israel said came from the area. So apparently this was some kind of Israeli munition dropped on the Gaza Strip. Probably a refugee camp, too. But in the most heart-wrenching story coming out of Israel today, I can't believe I'm reporting on it. Yet again with the content warning, because I just want to make sure that everyone is painfully aware of how horrendous what we're getting ready to talk about is. Israeli soldiers suspected of raping Palestinian prisoner have been arrested, and this sparked a far-right riot. The minister among Israelis storming notorious Seed Timon detention facility in solidarity with the suspects. Israeli protesters waved flags outside the Seed Timon detention facility after Israeli soldiers were arrested on July 29th. 9 Israeli soldiers in the notorious Seed Timon detention center were arrested on Monday on suspicion of raping a Palestinian detainee, sparking a riot where far-right activists and MPs stormed the facility. Israeli military police raided Seed Timon, but were met with resistance by soldiers who reportedly barricaded themselves into the facility and used pepper spray to defend themselves before eventually being taken into custody. The soldiers were suspected of abusing a Palestinian detainee, who, according to Arab 48, is suffering from a serious wound in his rectum area. The prisoner had been transferred from Seid Timon in the Negev desert to a hospital in Beersheba, which is also in southern Israel. Haaretz said the prisoner is unable to walk. The Israeli army said an investigation is underway. The arrests were met with outrage by right-wing Israelis, with protests and solidarity called across Israel. Dozens of people, reportedly including members of parliament and heritage minister Amachi Eliyahu, gathered outside Seed Timon and stormed the detention facility. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned this. He condemned. Calling for the immediate calming of spirits. Israeli parliament, the Knesset, is currently on summer break, but will hold an emergency discussion on Tuesday called by MPs who want to defend the soldiers. They should be allowed to rape Palestinian prisoners. Yes, Battle Opossum, I am sorry. I hit multiple content warnings. They debated this shit, whether it should be legal for them to rape prisoners. Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich described the suspects as heroic warriors, while National Security Minister Itman Ben-Gvir, who oversees the prisons where Palestinians are detained, called them the best heroes and described the arrest as shameful. Palestinians have long reported abuse inside Israeli prisons, jails, and detention centers, including torture and sexual abuse. However, since the October 7th Hamas-led attack on Israel and subsequent war on Gaza, Palestinians have reported systematic torture and abuse and been detained in far higher numbers, often without charge. We've seen them detain Israelis who stand in solidarity with the Palestinians. So I have no doubt that they are detaining Palestinians without charge. Palestinians detained by Israeli forces since the start of the war have previously told Middle East Eye how they were physically tortured with dogs and electricity, subjected to mock executions, and held in humiliating and degrading conditions. There have been various reports in recent months of Palestinian prisoners being raped by Israeli soldiers and prison guards using metal rods and fire extinguishers. I remember when people were so outraged about the use of sexual violence, supposedly on October 7th. Adamir, an NGO supporting Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails, says there are 9,700 Palestinian political prisoners held by Israel. On Sunday, Ben-Gvir confirmed that conditions inside Israeli prisons have indeed worsened, adding, "I am proud of that." The Public Committee Against Torture in Israel condemned the alleged rape of the Palestinian detainee. Since the beginning of the war, we claimed that the Side Teman was operating as an ex-territory, and the soldiers stationed there were acting outside any law, first in their treatment of detainees and now towards military law enforcement agents. Instead of absolute condemnation, some Israeli far-right leaders have rallied to support the suspects of abuse, which is emblematic of the root causes that enabled such abuse to happen in the first place. On the 15th of July, Israel's High Court issued a conditional order seeking to close Side Teman in response to the reports of abuse there. The court's order seeks an explanation to why the Side Teman detention facility is not operated in accordance with the conditions set forth in the law governing internment of unlawful combatants. There is video of this. Hold on. I thought it might be in the story. This is the scene as they were storming the facility. Kirsten Slay Andreje, welcome in. Good evening. Purgatorus, good evening. This is insane. Arrow? Are you trying to get me to say something that'll get me banned? And I'm too stupid to know. Ari? This is a musical artist. An adjective meaning placed apart from each other, separate, several. No, seriously. That's what Google is telling me. It's Struss dich Venus. Sounds like I'm singing a Rammstein song. Let's head down to Venezuela, where apparently the presidential election was won by Nicolas Maduro, the socialist candidate. I want to couch this by saying, I don't think I'm a fan of Maduro. He seems a little authoritarian. Like, I don't want to default to, you know, being on his side just because he's a socialist or a leftist candidate. But also, because he is a socialist or leftist candidate, there's all sorts of accusations flying around about him, and I'm not as versed in Venezuelan politics. Yeah, it doesn't seem at Holiday. Seems like he's more authoritarian than anything, but I don't know. I don't have a grasp on foreign affairs as much as I do domestic affairs.
Says it has serious concerns about the election results in Venezuela. That's after Venezuela's authoritarian leader, Nicolas.
What the fuck is going on in the chat?
A tumultuous presidential race. Exit polls in yesterday's voting showed a blowout win for the opposition party. Now, both Maduro and the opposition have claimed a win, but most world leaders have held back from recognizing the results. Even before the official results, the headlines were set and the papers went to print. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro claimed another 6 years in office.
This really caught my attention. It was not what you would expect. At least I did not expect it.
And there was good reason for that surprise on the otherwise quiet streets of Caracas. Last night's exit polls told a different story.
Kind of what I was thinking, Holiday.
Maduro's main challenger, Edmundo Gonzalez, would win by a large margin. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who championed Gonzalez after she was banned from running by Venezuela's Supreme Court, declared his victory.
I'd rather have her.
Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia got 70% of the votes in this election, and Nicolas Maduro received 30% of the votes. This is the truth. And, my dear Venezuelans, this is the Venezuelan election with the largest margin of victory in history.
As the polls closed on Sunday night, opposition supporters tried to witness the count. But scuffles broke out as Maduro's supporters showed up to push them back. Hours after voting ended, the Maduro-controlled National Election Authority declared him the winner with 51% of the vote and 44% for Gonzalez, who vowed to continue his fight.
What happened during today's polling day was a violation of all the rules, to the point that the majority of electoral registers have still not been handed over.
The Venezuelan electoral body made a Maduro win official today, but the opposition has argued for more transparency.
Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez have all the records and numbers. It's just a matter of reviewing them. That is why we are asking for a review of each record to uncover the truth.
Machado and Gonzalez presented the biggest challenge to the United Socialist Party since the revolutionary Hugo Chavez took office more than 25 years ago. Venezuela was once the most advanced economy in Latin America, with the world's largest oil reserves. But since Chavez died and his protege Maduro took office in 2013, Venezuela has spiraled amid devastating inflation, economic collapse,
Yeah, I miss Chavez.
human rights abuses. 7.7 million Venezuelans have left the country, almost a third of the population. Many world leaders have denounced or discounted Maduro's announced victory.
The international community is watching this very closely and will respond accordingly.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken negotiated with Maduro to ease American sanctions on Venezuela's state-owned oil and gas industries in exchange for a commitment to free and fair elections. Blinken addressed the results on a trip to Asia today.
We have serious concerns that the result announced does not reflect the will or the votes of the Venezuelan people.
Anonymously.
Maduro
Good
appears
evening.
undeterred.
A triumph of the national independence, the dignity of the Venezuelan people. The sanctions made weren't enough.
All of this kind of feels sus.
Threats weren't enough. Not today. And those will never be enough against the dignity of the Venezuelan people.
And we are joined now by Ricardo Zuniga.
What up, Ricardo?
Dinamica Americas. That's an international advisory group. He's also a former State Department official who served as President Obama's principal advisor for the Americas. It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, where'd they use those Hugo Chavez voting machines?
Declaration of victory in Venezuela.
Well, Maduro knows
Cicero
else in Venezuela and outside of Venezuela that he lost this election in a landslide to Edmundo Gonzalez. At this point, he's doing what he can, apparently, to try to change the facts on the ground. But he did that in 2018. I don't think he's stronger today than he was in 2018, and certainly not even stronger than he was yesterday. So he's trying to essentially...
Clinically is never wrong.
Gather as many international...
Clinically got the best gaydar, and clinically got the best susdar.
And essentially...
Is that what you call it?
What options are available to the U.S. as it weighs its response? Because till now, sanctions had been the main leverage point.
Well, sanctions were one point of leverage, and they were designed exactly as that, as one part of the option. Diplomatic negotiations with the Maduro team, but also basically coalescing a larger group of international actors, especially from the Americas and Europe, to try to pressure for democratic change and support democratic actors in Venezuela. That is an important source of leverage for the United States.
I think that one might be copyrighted.
That conditions regionally have changed dramatically over time. There is very, very little support regionally for the government that he is going to try to reimpose.
This dude looks like Nathan Lane. This is fucking South American Nathan Lane. What the fuck is going on here? Why am I like this? Republicans are weird, man. Apparently, the Democrats have hit on a new messaging, and it is really getting under the skin of Republicans. You don't know who Nathan Lane is? Have you ever seen the Robin Williams movie, The Birdcage? He was Robin Williams' boyfriend. Nathan Lane's good. He was in the Producers with Matthew Broderick. Clinically, it's wild that we both went to that same movie. But The Birdcage seems like a really good reference point. He was I just watched American Crime Story, the O.J. Simpson, and Nathan Lane plays William Bailey. F. William Bailey. He was the voice of Pumbaa. Curiouser, good evening, welcome. I'm glad you're here for this. It's politics, but I think you're going to enjoy the series of clips and stories. I'm getting ready to F. Lee Bailey. There we go. I'm sorry, I fucked the name up. Yeah, we stand Nathan Lane in this chat. Anyway, I do believe the Democrats have found a new messaging that is really getting under the skin of Republicans. And it's simply calling them little weirdos. A simple insult is Democrats' latest talking point. Can it stick? See, what this video say?
Add an amendment to the Constitution, essentially undoing one of the Supreme Court's most...
Oh, they're talking about something different. Dougie. Oh, this is the Brat Summer.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
I still owe you a graphic.
In the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
It's endearing her. It's endearing her to the Gen Zs and shit. The word of the political moment seems to be weird. It may have been unprecedented that President Joe Biden dropped out of the 2024 presidential race about 100 days from the election, but that isn't what has Democrats and Republicans sparring over the word weird. Rather, since Vice President Kamala Harris, a younger, more meme-friendly candidate, has stepped in as the Democratic candidate, a host of her surrogates have started labeling her opponents, Donald Trump and Senator J.D. Vance, as weirdos. It appears that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, also reportedly under consideration for Harris's running mate, may have started this wave of attacks. Days after Biden dropped out of the race, Waltz shared a clip of an interview from MSNBC. Let's take a look at it.
Weird people.
Weird people indeed. That's what they are.
These are weird people on the other side. They want to take books away. They want to be in your exam room. That's what it comes down to. And don't, get sugarcoating this. These are weird ideas. Listen to them speak. Listen how they talk about things. Listen to how your previous guests were right. Like you said, they've told them that they shouldn't talk about race. They can't help it. It is built into their DNA because there is no plan. There's no health care plan. There's no health care plan. There's nothing to do on this. They want to take away our alliances and leave Russia to do whatever they want. Look, they are bad on foreign policy. They are bad on the environment. They certainly have no health care plan. And they keep talking about the middle class that, as I said, a robber baron real estate guy and a venture capitalist trying to tell us they understand who we are. They don't know who we are. These are
Waltz is a very good pick. I hope it is Waltz or Bashir, one of those two. Republicans are trying to fight back on the allegations. J.D. Vance tweeted out this and was like, J.D. Vance is weird.
And my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
She, her, and her. Mine too.
All right.
All right, first.
That was weird on Cuomo's part. Florida Representative Matt Gaetz also shared a video on X of Waltz calling the Republicans' nominees weird with the caption, "The party of gender blockers and drag shows for kids is calling us weird, okay." Says the fucking alleged sex trafficker that took a child across state lines. Former Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy posted on X calling the argument from Democrats dumb and juvenile. This is a presidential election, not a high school prom queen contest. It is also a tad ironic coming from the party that preaches diversity and inclusion. Win on policy if you can, but cut the crap, please, Ramaswamy said. Here's the thing. They are fucking weird. Allow me to give you example after example. Let's start with Elon Musk, who shared out a AI-generated video, a deep fake apparently, of Kamala Harris.
His social media platform X. The AI-altered video mimics Vice President Harris's voice using many of the same visuals as a real ad that Harris released last week launching her campaign. But the video swaps out the voiceover audio with another voice that convincingly impersonates Harris, raising concerns about AI in politics. Musk shared it on his social media platform without explicitly noting it was originally released as a parody, and it seems to be in violation of the social media platform's policies. Let's bring in senior reporter Emmanuel.
But Elon shared it out.
On this, Emmanuel, this is incredible. I mean, to see it, it looks so real.
Flash, very good point. Being likable is a prerequisite.
Since Musk posted it, and what some of the biggest concerns are.
So the video was originally posted by a user named Mr. Reagan, and he labeled it as a parody, and then it was retweeted by Elon Musk, who just wrote that it was amazing, and he didn't specify that it was a parody, but anyone who knows how to use the platform would know to click through and go to the original post and see that it was labeled as a parody. It's been seen over 120 million times so far, and we've seen reaction from the Harris campaign. We've seen a reaction from Governor Newsom, who says he's passing legislation right now, hopes to sign it to ban political deepfakes and deepfakes.
And that an ad like that, or not an ad, but a video like that could confuse a lot of people.
Are you going to ban it?
Seems to be violating X's own policy here by not disclosing that the video is AI altered. Could there be any consequences?
No.
What's interesting here is that X's policy is, although they have a policy for synthetic media that they actually implemented in April of 2023, in this case, because it was labeled a parody, some people are saying it's not the fact that it has some parts of it that's AI generated that violates their policy. It's more the fact that Elon Musk, when he retweeted it, didn't state it was a parody. he's going to argue, and many people argue, that anyone who would watch this, because when you watch the video, it contains real elements of Harris's campaign ad that she released last week. It also splices in some real authentic scenes from her, but it's made to really mock her, and the AI portion of it is the voice that they created to mimic her voice, to make her say things she absolutely did not say. I think most people watching this would understand that it's a parody, would understand that it was created under jest, but I think that's what we're going to see moving.
I take issue with the word most there. I have seen people on social media take seriously the most absurd stories. I think most of the country is fucking stupid, so. They're weird little boys, just like this guy who introduced Donald Trump in Grand Rapids.
Thank you, Mr. President Trump, Your Majesty. I just want to say, on your behalf, that I'm a Republican, and I'm...
Oh, this, I fell for some shit. Like, this ain't fucking real. He has put himself into the video. I'm sorry. I thought I had a weird little guy. I do have a weird little guy. This guy is weird. This is Jack Posobiec.
All right, welcome. I just wanted to say, welcome to the end of democracy. We're here to overthrow it completely. We didn't get all the way there on January 6th, but we will endeavor to get rid of it and replace it with this right here. We'll replace it with this right here.
Amen.
Wait, is that Steve Bannon? Isn't he in jail right now? This must be an old clip. Oh, this is back at CPAC. Yes, apparently he's the End Wokeness account. One of the weirdos on the right. It's like Andrew Clavin from the Daily Wire, another one of the right's weird little men.
One Quinnipiac poll showed that Trump had the support of just 36% of women. 58% of women were ready to vote for Joe Biden, a guy that anybody who was paying attention knew was too senile to be the president. So they were willing to vote for a senile goober over Trump. They just don't like this guy. Now, I don't believe in making great generalities about things, like what they call totalizing principles, like life is about this or society is about this. But sometimes it's kind of like being the blind man with the elephant. You're only seeing one side of it. But sometimes that helps. Sometimes you're just taking a look at one side of things. And that's what I'm going to do now. There is a sense in which the central purpose of every society is to figure out the distribution of women. Because women are valuable. They're valuable not just for their company and for their way of looking at things and for sex, which is a lot of fun, but also because they are the only path there is to continuing.
It is a lot of fun.
Inheritance. That is the way it is. When men want women on this kind of basic animalistic, just life level to reproduce, right? So the most obvious way to distribute women is to give all the women to the strongest man, right? So you reproduce from the strongest person. That's the way many gorillas, silverbacks live. The one guy gets all the girls. And the problem with that is it sounds like a good idea, but it's unstable because obviously all the other guys finally think to themselves, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll get together and we'll kill the main guy, the alpha guy, and we'll steal the woman. And that's why those unstable. That's how you get Magna Carta, where the aristocrats, the most powerful people, go to the king and say, we want power too. That is kind of the human way of acting out that guerrilla system. Ultimately, other men want women. When you have a democracy, the best system is monogamy, right? One per customer. Everybody gets a woman. And it sounds like that means that weak people will be allowed to breed, but it turns out it's actually a pretty good system because it favors diversity. Because a lot of times the smartest guy in the room and the strongest guy in the room are two entirely different people. So you want the strongest guy to reproduce, but you also want the smartest guy to reproduce, and that is how you manage.
Neither of those men are you.
Monogamy, one per customer, is a really good basis for a society. However, it goes against the guerrilla code. And the guerrilla code is written into our DNA. We're somehow related. I'm not saying we evolved from gorillas, but we're related to them. We're not away from them. The men want lots of women. So the strongest man wants all the women, and the women want the strongest man. That is the way evolution has designed us. So The strong have to take back the women. They want to take back the women from a system that is free. A system that is free is going to be a monogamous system. That's the way that works because it is the best system for freedom. It means everybody gets something, right? All the women get a man, all the men get a woman, as close as we can come to that.
What?
The strong want to take women back, and they have to do it through, because it's a free system, they can't do it by force. They might want to, but they can't. They have to do it by lies. And there are two big lies they want to tell them. One is your husband is a no-goodnik, he's a pain in the ass, and he's bossing you around. That's the first lie. And that lie is probably not a lie. It's probably true on some days at least. But the big lie that the government wants to tell you, that the people who want the power concentrated all in one place to get all the women, they want to tell you is that women can take care of themselves. And women hate the idea that they can't take care of themselves, but women cannot take care of themselves. They're smaller, weaker. Men are stronger. Men are mean. They're more aggressive. They will take them over. They'll do it anytime they can, anywhere they can. They will abuse them. They will hurt them. Women have to come up with different strategies for survival than men do, right? Men buff up. They get tough. They study karate. They learn how to fight. Women can do all those things, and there still is going to be a man who can take them down. Women have to find different ways of being safe, and one of those ways is finding a man to protect them.
Ugh. I was thinking about all the women I know that could fucking beat this guy's ass. They're little weirdos. They are weirdos. The Republicans are weirdos.
Reproductive justice activist, and she wrote a very interesting piece in Teen Vogue. It's called the piece is called "J.D. Vance Doesn't Want All Women to Be Trad Wives, Just White Women." Explain, Renee.
Well, hi, Amy. Thanks for having me. And I should just let your audience know that, full disclosure, I am a childless cat lady. I am fine with that, and my life is amazing. But what I think is really important is people have maybe seen this trad wife phenomenon.
Never a jack dude saying that shit.
Usually white women are making these videos about how amazing it is to make everything from scratch and this idyllic, like, 1950s home life, and how great it is just to be home and opt out of the working society, right? And these are videos that are basically propaganda for the world that people like J.D. Vance want. But what we have to think about is, if you actually look at history, women of color have never been part of that idyllic society, right? Women of color always had to work, whether they were wet nurses and enslaved women and being abused by white women on plantations during slavery, to when they were working in the 1950s, they were still in the homes, right? Because of mass incarceration, family separation, all of these things. They did not get the choice to decide, well, do I stay home or do I work? With low wages, without access to social safety net supports, because of racist barriers, they've always had to work. And so when J.D. Vance talks about what this future looks like, where he wants women at home, he's picturing white women. He is very sure that he wants white women to be at home procreating while the rest of us are laboring under capitalism, so he and his donors can keep making more and more money off of our backs and off of our low wages.
So can you talk more about the issue of Vance's views on gender, sex, and marriage?
He's a weirdo.
What it means, why he is attacking people who don't have children and being very focused on the nuclear family. It can't even be, as in the case of Kamala Harris, stepchildren.
I mean, the short answer is he's a weirdo. The longer answer is he's a white supremacist, and he's a white nationalist.
Ooh.
That the only children are ones that are physically born through natural birth conception. Those are the ones that are legitimate, right? Which is wild because he promotes adoption as an alternative to abortion, which it is not, but then attacks Pete Buttigieg for adopting children, right? Again, he has this view that certain families are valuable, and that is families that are white, that have natural children, that have, single, they're heterosexual parents. He does not recognize that this world, we make our families in lots of different ways. Divorce, step parents, adoption, abortion, all of these ways that we make our families, that is the reproductive future that we're all building together.
This is Renee Bracey Sherman. She's a reproductive justice advocate.
He cannot stand that. He cannot stand that fighting for abortion access, fighting for reproductive justice, all of this ensures that we are able to decide if, when, and how to grow our family. It terrifies him.
In other news about J.D. Vance, the Republican vice presidential nominee has written the foreword to the forthcoming book by Kevin Roberts, president of the Heritage Foundation, head of Project 2025. Trump's campaign has disavowed any connection to Project 2025, a radical, almost 1,000-page Republican blueprint to overhaul U.S. policy on everything from immigration to reproductive rights to the climate. Can you talk about the MAGA right's views on reproductive rights, in particular, what you think a Trump-Vance White House would mean for reproductive rights?
I mean, a Trump-Vance White House for reproductive rights and abortion access is terrifying. If you care about abortion, if you care about IVF, if you care about sex, if you like having sex with whoever you want, if you like sex toys, all of those things could be gone, right? This is the modern Comstock. Anthony Comstock in the mid-1800s used the mail service to try to ban contraceptions, pornography, sex toys, all of these things, right? Project 2025 is just the updated version of that. And Vance is just the updated version of Anthony Comstock. So anything you love about your sex life, your family, the freedoms that you get to have to build the families that you care about, that you love, build your life, that is under threat with this Project 2025. And I really hope that people pay attention to that in a way that they didn't necessarily hear us when we said that Roe could and would be overturned. Please listen to us right now that they are very serious about this. This is not a pipe dream. They wrote it down. It is their goal, and they will stop at nothing to achieve it.
Yep. Yes, she was a badass. Call it exactly like it is. Short answer, he's a little weirdo. Long answer, he's a white supremacist. That's how she described the Republican vice presidential nominee. Here is one of the potential vice presidential nominees on the Democratic side. This is the governor of Illinois, J.D. Pritzker.
The truth is there are a lot of very weird, strange things coming out of both the Republican nominee and the vice presidential nominee on the Republican side. I mean, there's this consistent kind of talk about Donald Trump's fear of sharks. I'm not sure why that's relevant to becoming president of the United States. There's the talk about couches and dolphins on the vice presidential
what the fuck?
Case. And it's just, I don't understand. We should be talking about the issues that are important.
That's so fussy.
Across the United States. That's what Kamala Harris is talking about. That's what all of us ought to be focused on.
I like Pritzker, but I think I'd rather go Waltz. I think I'd rather go Beshear. It is not going to be Roy Cooper, unfortunately, from North Carolina. It was Beshear and Roy Cooper were my two picks. But Cooper has withdrawn from the presidential consideration. Removing himself from what they're calling the Veep stakes. North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper, who grew close to Kamala Harris when they both served as their state's attorney general, has withdrawn from contention to become her vice presidential nominee. Cooper's exit from the Veep stakes was confirmed by 3 people briefed on the development and granted anonymity to discuss it. 2 Democrats close to Cooper cited 3 factors: his desire to potentially run for Senate. We could use a Democratic senator from North Carolina. That would be awesome. His age, and fears that North Carolina's divisive Republican lieutenant governor would take over each time Cooper traveled out of state. Thread, thank you for the resub. Good evening, fellow degenerates indeed. How are you this evening, my friend? Harris's team is looking at Governor Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania and Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona. Those are the 2 I don't want. Others in the mix include Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. I would not like Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, no. Toss Mayo Pete out. I want Walz or I want Beshear. Although Cooper was initially at the top of some Democrats' lists for potential running mates, the governor was never vetted and sent word to Harris's team that he did not want to be considered a week ago. Walz is Walz or Beshear, either or. They both got their strong points. With Beshear, he's not exactly as proven, but I know he is strong on education. Walz is strong on labor. Either or, both would be strong. It seems like the short list is Mark Kelly of Arizona and Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. The 2 that I would least like. I don't think Beshear did, Venus. That's Shapiro. That's Shapiro of Pennsylvania. He really shit on pro-Palestinian protesters. Exactly, Hayes. Although Cooper was initially... Oh, I already did that part. From the get-go, he was not a candidate for this, the person added. Cooper, 67, built his reputation as a moderate Democrat over decades, serving in North Carolina politics. I would like to see him in the Senate. If we have a Democrat that can win in North Carolina in the Senate, hell's fucking yeah. He outperformed Joe Biden by 6 points in 2020. He's ran multiple successful campaigns in an environment that's favorable to Republicans. I still think North Carolina is in play. When we get to the electoral map, perhaps that's one of the paths that Kamala Harris will have. I think that was one of the reasons why I put down Kelly originally when they were floating his name out there, was because why would you want to put another Senate seat in play? It looks like they're going to retain Sinema's Senate seat. Gallo is doing very well so far, but you never know what could happen. Chuck Schumer is calling on Trump to replace J.D. Vance. That would be wild. Apparently there is some trepidation on the campaign's part, but I feel like it'd be worse for the campaign to ditch him now. And it would also piss off Peter Thiel, and I don't think they're going to do that.
Schumer is calling on former President Trump to pick a new running mate. The Senate Majority Leader says picking J.D. Vance is one of the best things Trump has ever done for Democrats.
Every day, Vance, it comes out, Vance has done something more extreme, more weird, more erratic. Vance seems to be more erratic and more extreme than President Trump. And I'll bet President Trump is sitting there, scratching his head and wondering, why did I pick this guy?
Well, Schumer also reminded Trump that he has 10 days until the Ohio ballot is locked in, so he needs to act now. We have Mark Jones, political science professor with Rice.
Chucky Boy's just taunting Trump.
To you, Mark. I guess the big question is, can Trump replace J.D. Vance if he so chooses to do that?
He can.
Yes, he can. There is still time. As noted, the Ohio ballot, there are 2 dates with the Ohio ballot. There's one in August, and there's technically one at the end of the month. But just to be on the safe side, if Donald Trump wants to replace J.D. Vance, it would be best to do so within the next week. And he certainly can do it. He can't do it unilaterally. He has to work through the Republican National Committee. But since he effectively controls the Republican National Committee, that wouldn't be too much of a difficulty for him.
There are some reports that say Trump is still thrilled with his pick. So do you agree with Schumer? Do you think that his pick does help Democrats? And what do you think Trump will do in this situation?
Well, I don't know if Trump would be willing to admit
that kid looks disgusted.
Vance was selected at a time when I think there was probably overconfidence within the Trump camp about their ability to defeat President Biden in November. Things have changed since then, and they probably would have been better off with a candidate that adds something to the ticket, which Vance doesn't do. But I doubt at this point that Trump is going to backtrack and get rid of Vance simply because that would signify that he made a serious mistake. That's something he's not the one to admit, especially with that decision being so close.
Let's switch now to the Democratic Party. Many people believe Kamala Harris has the momentum right now, but she is still just the presumptive nominee, and she still does need to
has the momentum.
A running mate.
That's horrible.
Who do you think is on the short list here?
Well, Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg are probably at the top. More wildcard candidates would be Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer or North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Whitmer would be a great candidate, but the difficulty is the Democratic Party probably wants to have a white male in that position rather than a white female.
DEI pick.
Now, the new Fox News poll that is out shows an extremely tight race, especially in 4 of the swing states. What is the polling showing right now about this matchup and just how close it may be with less than 100 days to go until Election Day?
Oh, well, it's gotten much closer. Keep in mind that Biden was probably at a low point for Democrats, given all of the questions about his mental acuity and willingness to serve. And after Kamala Harris had became the presumptive nominee, she's received pretty much nothing but positive media coverage across the country. So we probably went from a...
And she looks better. Contrast the two side by side. Like... Quesadilla, good evening.
Unrealistic low where Biden was performing poorly to an unrealistic high where Harris is probably overperforming. The tough thing for her will be to keep that momentum going through the Democratic convention. And at a certain point, we're going to start to...
She's got an awesome smile.
...coverage of Harris. So I think we're probably going to see a very tight race going into November where it's going to be a technical tie until we see the result on November 6th or November 7th.
All right, Mark Jones from Rice University, thank you so much for the...
Thank you, Mark Jones. But apparently she's a ding-dong. According to everyone's favorite senator, she's a ding-dong.
Castellanos, one of the brightest political commentators I know, and he's made the point that the burden on the vice president is to prove to the American people that she's a serious person. Margaret Thatcher didn't giggle. Golda Meir didn't giggle. When you look at the polls, fair or not, many Americans, and again, this may not be fair, but I'm just telling you what the polls show. Many Americans think that the vice president is a little bit of a ding-dong, that she's not serious.
Well, this ding-dong, Senator, has risen in the polls, and I'm wondering if the strategy to focus on her laugh or the
I think you're a ding-dong, and Neil Cavuto is actually taking him to task on this one. Good, Neil, good.
The poll show. Many Americans think that the vice president is a little bit of a ding-dong, that she's not serious.
Well, this ding-dong senator has risen in the polls, and I'm wondering if the strategy to focus on
Look at that lip.
or the former president calling her nasty and crazy really promotes that push to show she's not up to the job. Does it look petty? Does it say to judge her on this level looks like a strategy that could backfire on Republicans? By all means, get her on the issues.
He's trying to tell him
about abortion, to clarify what this Supreme Court push might be about.
Like, you're the ding dong here.
Stuff just looks dumb.
Well, what I was going to say, Neil, if I could finish my thought, when you look at the polls, fair or not, what the polls, the crosstabs show, is that those Americans who have an opinion of the vice president think that, number one, she's a bit of a ding-dong, and number two, that she
did it again.
is a member of the loon wing of the Democratic Party. She's a San Francisco
that member of the
Democrat.
loon wing, Senator, that I'm not, casting aspersions either way, though. That member of the loon wing is now, dead even with Donald Trump in one battle state ground after.
She's the loon next to Donald Trump.
That this loon is surging, and if the Republican approach to her is to treat her like a loon and a cackle, and she is just an empty suit, I wonder how far that'll go.
Sorry if that offends you, Neil, but I'm just telling you what the people of America think.
I'm just telling you what the polls are showing right now. Now, if you think they're short-lived, they're not going to last, and you're okay with this approach of talking about her laugh and nasty and disrespectful and all this stuff that Donald Trump has said, you don't think part of that is going to kill you at the polls?
I'm telling you what I think the American people think right now, based on the polling that I've seen, and let me say it again. I think that fair or not, and it may upset you, but fair or not, the American people think, those who have an opinion of the vice president think that, number one, she's a little bit of a ding-dong. She's not a serious person. They've had one vegetable and she...
How? How do you call somebody a ding-dong and then say they're not the serious person? You're a fucking, 70-year-old man calling somebody a ding-dong. Just like they have no self-awareness. Please, sir, learn. Learn to feel embarrassment.
Chief, they don't want another. Think that, number one, she's a little bit of a ding-dong. She's not a serious person. They've had one vegetable in chief. They don't want another.
Wow. I love their confidence. They are so overconfident right now. What is he like at the Thanksgiving table when he's not doing shit like this?
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
I'm calling him a ding dong. He wants to suck some ding dong. He probably has sucked some ding dong. These are the potential pathways of Kamala Harris winning the presidency. It's going to piss so many people off for her to win it. I'm going to be happy about it. It will piss off the Trumpers. It's going to piss off the Hillary wing. I'm so on board with Harris right now. It will piss off the white supremacists. Fun. These are her potential pathways to winning the presidency.
Universal agreement at this point that this is a brand new presidential race, at least one that is significantly different than it was just 8 or 9 days ago. But how different is it? What's actually changed? It's important to have a little humility here. I guess you could say there's a lot we don't know. But here's what we do. Let's take a look at the map. What I'm showing you right now is the map from 2020, where President Biden was able to win in order to get more than 270 electoral votes. And you see kind of the critical battleground states here, the blue wall of Pennsylvania, of Michigan, of Wisconsin, the Sun Belt states where he was able to flip Georgia, flip the state of Arizona, hold on to states like Nevada. Obviously, that was critical to his victory and really undoing a lot of what Trump was able to do in his victory in 2016. Now let's look at where the race was before President Biden decided not to run for re-election. Now, based on where CNN projections of race ratings stood, Donald Trump was already over 270 electoral votes. That's how bad things were, at least in that moment, for the Biden campaign. Now, it doesn't mean that's where things were going to end up, but it's where the race was in that moment in time. You saw states like Georgia basically out of play at that point. Arizona still very much a swing state, democratically held over a series of elections. State of Nevada was leaning red. So too was the critical blue wall state of Michigan, also leaning red. In fact, when you talk to Biden campaign advisors, including in a public memo written by co-chairwoman Jen O'Malley Dillon, they acknowledge those Sunbelt states that President Biden was able to make headway in 2020, they were pretty much all but out of reach. They said they could still be in reach, but really their focus was right here, the blue wall. They needed to keep Michigan, they needed to keep Wisconsin, and they needed to keep the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So where do things actually stand right now? Well, if you think of where this was the map was 9 or 10 days ago, and you talk to Democrats who made very clear what they needed more than anything else was to hold on to the state of Pennsylvania, to Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to hold on to the state of Michigan, to hold on to the state of Wisconsin, that is still clearly the most clear pathway forward for Democrats. The blue wall, as it's known, is still something that the Harris campaign, no longer the Biden campaign, even though it has a lot of the same people, is very much targeting. However, what they say is different, at least both publicly in memos, but also privately, is that what the Harris operation does is it opens up those pathways back down those Sunbelt states. In fact, they think North Carolina is very much a potential in-play.
Toss up.
Democrats have come very close a couple of times. Very, very population-driven. Much of that population coming from black voters. Georgia now potentially back in play as well, as President Biden did in 2020. Now they say it's a possibility. Nevada potentially back in play as well, particularly if Latino voters, which were sagging heavily in the Biden coalition, start to come back in a major way. What about the state of Arizona, also potentially back in play? Obviously, if you look at the numbers there, if all of those went Democratic, it would obviously portend a very large win for the vice president. Now, that is not expected to happen at this point in time, but the reality is, when you talk to Democrats, they say they now have multiple pathways. What do they mean by that? They mean it's not just about the blue wall. There's also Sunbelt options as well, options that they thought were off the table just 9-10 days ago. Why do they think this? Well, it's interesting. When you look at the numbers that we pulled up from the CNN SSRS poll just a few days ago, we actually went back to voters and asked them, voters we'd already surveyed just a few months ago, and asked them where they stood at this point in time. And this is what the Harris campaign is keying on in this moment. The Biden coalition.
It's a touchscreen, though, Flash.
Suburban women voters. Where are they now compared to where they were then? Well, in April, June.
I think they tried those interactive graphics one time.
Category, only 42%.
I think they got bad feedback.
Lead. Now, Harris has flipped that, 47% to 43%.
You've got to remember the people that are still actually watching TV skew a lot older. So, like, they're scared by, like, fucking VR graphics and shit.
What about black voters? Such a critical backbone of the Democratic
augmented reality.
Biden was at 70% to Trump's 23%. Now, Harris at 78% to 15%. What about women voters, particularly suburban women voters? Critical, again, particularly in some of those blue wall states, if Biden's strength with older voters starts to sag a little bit with Harris now on the ticket. Well, women voters, 50% to 45%. It was tied when Biden was still in the race. There are numbers that are showing the Democratic coalition is coming home. That opens additional pathways.
The Democratic coalition is coming home.
A victory for Vice President Harris? That very much an open question. Talk to Democrats, they say still an underdog. But if you look at the dark blue numbers compared to the lighter blue numbers, certainly Democrats feel like now, more than anything else, they at least have an opportunity.
Is she an underdog? I mean, like, technically she's got the incumbency advantage. I mean, I guess, like, he's been president already. I feel pretty confident. Hell yeah, Dougie. Like, I think she excites the libs. That's kind of what you got to do at this point. And I think J.D. Vance turns off the suburbanite women. The Karens is what they call, literally what they call them, the Karens. Your 45 to 60-year-old white suburban women. And I don't think I think their voting block is malleable, right? Like, I think they really are like a swing voter. Because like the soccer moms and even grandmothers and shit. I guess when you're 45 to 60, you're probably like a fucking grandmother at that time. They don't pay attention to politics. They're not consumed by it. They've got lives and they kind of pay attention a little bit. They consume the news once or twice a week. That kind of deal. The creator of the HBO show Veep went on CNN to react to life imitating art.
Not leaving. POTUS is leaving. He's not going to run for a second term. I'm going to run.
I did not see that coming.
Selena Meyer, she's on fire.
Bam!
Woo, boom, let's go to that moon.
I was this close to living on my boat.
Scenario look familiar? Welcoming back the executive producer and showrunner of Veep, David Mendel. I mean, could you have ever imagined that what we saw in Veep could actually be playing out essentially in real life?
No, actually, that was sort of the point of Veep. It was supposed to not happen. You know, we used to sit around and think of what are the silliest things that could happen. What is the worst thing a candidate could do? What's the worst thing a candidate could say? And now that they're actually happening, it's actually both hilarious and, dare I say, sometimes a little frightening.
Why frightening?
Again, you know, we're trying to entertain people, make people laugh. That's not really what I want from politics most of the time.
Yeah, it's interesting because the creator actually wrote this op-ed on the New York Times.
Yep.
And if we can scroll to that on the prompter, I want to read this to you. Because he basically was talking about how, look, what worries him is that politics has become so much like entertainment that the first thing we do to make sense of the moment is to test it against sitcom. And he's actually discouraged people are comparing Selena Meyer to Kamala Harris. What do you make of that and what he says?
I completely agree. I mean, I think, I want Kamala Harris to be judged on her own merits. I also think, unfortunately, and I've said this elsewhere, I think people are trying to use Selena Meyer sometimes to attack Kamala, that makes her, because the show is about a sort of sometimes incompetent woman vice president, it's an easy, sledgehammer with which to attack our current vice president. I think there are a lot of people that are celebrating things. There are people that
I was going to call her malicious.
Kamala, and that's fantastic. But it's not lost on me that there are some with less honorable intentions. But yeah, I think we should be holding our candidates up to.
If you have never watched Veep, I highly recommend it. It is one of the funniest shows in the history of television. If fucking Julia Louis-Dreyfus won all kinds of Emmys for it, and it's the densest. They did like a study on it. It is the show with the most jokes per minute. It's the most densely populated show with jokes. Libbers alert. So I'm sure the libs really liked the fucking show. I really enjoyed it, but like it's back and forth constantly. You can't like watch it in the background. You gotta like pay active attention to it.
Levels of former great candidates, the Lincolns, et cetera, not the great sitcoms, so.
Look at that fucking cast.
Right.
But I wonder, as the executive producer of this show, as this is all playing out, right?
Sure.
Joe Biden steps aside. saying he's not going to run for re-election. Vice President Harris quickly becomes the presumptive Democratic nominee, essentially. What is going through your mind? I mean, I can't imagine. Like, this is actually happening. Life really is imitating art.
It is. I was starting to say it's been very ironic, but I don't use the word ironic properly, and nobody else does either. I do find it funny. I've enjoyed,
especially not Alanis Morissette.
But I will say, as exciting as that is, I'm more excited, I think, by just in general the energy that I'm seeing coming out of the campaign by the changeover. So I'm enjoying it, but I am surprised. I am shocked. On the plus side, more people are watching Veep. More people are talking about Veep. I'm here on
Hell yeah.
for no reason, and I haven't made an episode of Veep in 6 years. So
yeah,
there is a reason, but yes, I mean, yeah, it's true. I mean,
has it been fucking 6 years? God damn. Holy shit. I didn't realize it ended before the pandemic. Biden today called for bold reforms on the Supreme Court.
I'm calling for 3 bold reforms.
That's what I just said.
Accountability to the court and our democracy. As the press shouted to me as I got off Air Force One, the Republican Speaker of the House said, whatever he proposes is dead on arrival. Well, I think his thinking is dead on arrival. First, I'm calling for a constitutional amendment called No One is Above the Law Amendment. It holds, and I mean this sincerely, it holds that there's no immunity for crimes former president committed while in office. I share our founders' belief that president must answer to the law. The president is accountable in the exercise of the great power of the presidency. We're a nation of laws, not kings and dictators. The decision can be boiled down to the title of one case: Trump versus the United States.
Are we officially out of the COVID watch?
Biden dies of COVID watch.
Can I put that one up for now?
The court asserted it was making a ruling for the ages. That isn't true. The court made a ruling for a former president. No other president in our history has asked for this kind of immunity for criminal actions. And no president.
It was like his third time having COVID that we know of.
Not one has and should have been given any exception to this with such immunity. The second thing I'm asking for, we've had term limits for presidents of the United States for nearly 75 years.
Nix, good evening.
After the Truman administration. And I believe we should have...
Well, I can't retire it. Clearly, I can't retire it because I have to keep bringing it back. I have them for multiple people. So, just saying, like, I'll take it off of the board for right now. I'll have to get it out of storage again. It's just a word salad.
Term limits for Supreme Court justices of the United States as well.
Looks mad.
In fact, the United States is the only major constitutional democracy that gives lifetime seats in their high court. Term limits would help ensure that the court membership changes with some regularity. That would make timing for the court's nomination more predictable and less arbitrary.
He may have COVID again.
Than any single presidency imposes undue influence in generations to come. The bipartisan commission I convened analyzed various term limit structures. Based on their report, I believe the best structure is the 18-year term limit. That would help ensure the country would not have what it has now. An extreme court that's proud of an attack on the confirmation process that's been weaponized by those seeking to carry out an extreme agenda for decades to come. By the way, these guys mean it. These guys mean it. Project 2025 is real. They mean it. Third,
they're weird little boys.
For binding code of conduct for the Supreme Court.
I believe he can get that one done before he leaves. There's no way he's going to get a constitutional amendment. He might be able to get a code of conduct. What was the other one? Term limits? Is that one by Congress as well? They rescheduled weed. They should absolutely decriminalize it. Got to California where they were rocked by an earthquake.
Good afternoon, I'm Philip Palmer, and we are breaking into programming ever so briefly to let you know what you experienced about 10 minutes ago. You probably felt it, but just we have a little bit of detail. There was a 4.9 earthquake that hit right at 1 o'clock. This, according to the earthquake data center that we're looking at, that's right now the magnitude of 4.9. But what was interesting is it was followed up by two fairly quick aftershocks. One was at 103.33. The other was at 105.19. And so you
been a lot of seismic activity lately.
3.5 and 2.8, and the epicenter was roughly 14 miles east-northeast of Barstow, so 114 miles away from us, and we here in Los Angeles felt the earthquake that hit roughly about 10 minutes ago. This
is earlier this afternoon, clearly. If I'm playing you a video. About 5 hours ago. So what would that be? 4:30 our time, around 1:30 California time. Speaking of California, once again, if I believed in the Bible, and I most certainly do not, I would believe that we were in the end times based on the fact that, like, there's earthquakes, there's fires, there's flooding.
This is showing the explosive impact of the largest wildfire burning in the entire United States. I'm literally standing in the midst of that burn scar there. This is what remains in that part of California called the Park Fire, about 90 miles away from.
He did not use literally correctly because he literally was not standing in the burn scar.
California's state capital of Sacramento. This fire is a monster. And right now we can tell you it's approaching nearly 400,000 acres.
Is this Johnny Knoxville?
Firefighters say despite their best efforts, they only have it 12% contained.
They clean them up
right now to this fire behavior expert explaining why this fire in particular has been so explosive.
On the west side of the fire, on branch 5, branch 10, and portions of branch 12, there's abundance of grass. The grass crop in there hasn't been seen for years. There's lava rock all over the place. The lava rock makes it slow progress for us to get in there and cut line. Moving over the top in branch 12, branch 15, and branch 20, we're getting into more of a brush and timber component. Inside of that timber, there's a ton of dented down, big piles of logging slash, just a high fuel loading there to help the fire create significant growth. Down into branch 25, we then transition from the timber to the brush and get back into that grass and that abundance grass crop.
So hot and a lot of fuel out there. He doesn't have a lot of comforting news for firefighters. They are facing winds that are now blowing embers. Zoe, let's talk to you about that. Wind is definitely the worst enemy of a firefighter next to the actual sparks and fire.
Oh, yes, and the air quality is just absolutely awful. And you can see all the smoke. It is just pouring, billowing out of the fires that are ongoing all across the West Coast. And those fires and those wildfire smoke that comes along with it is continuing to travel up across the northern parts of the United States. So even even if you're not seeing a wildfire around you, you likely are going to be seeing some sort of wildfire smoke. And you're noticing, why is it leaving out the southern part of the United States? Well, it's all rotating around this area of high pressure, and it will continue to rotate and bring even places like North Carolina that wildfire smoke. That's how widespread this system is going to travel, and we are going to be seeing that area of high pressure not bringing wildfire smoke only, but also bringing heat across the central United States. Those high temperatures are going to be very hot, as again, it's all revolved around this area of high pressure.
It's been so nice lately.
Central United States. You can kind of see
it was like 73 degrees here today.
Allowing, again, more heat to build, and those southerly winds coming in from the Gulf is bringing a lot of moisture, and that moisture will continue to push
this is fine.
The United States. And moisture combined with heat is not a winning combination. Unfortunately, the heat is going to continue to build in places like Kansas City.
It's gonna be a really smoky fall, isn't it?
St. Louis, where heat indices are going to be the biggest issue. So yes, temperatures are in the mid to upper 90s. That's not record-breaking by any means, but it's our heat indices that are expected to get up to 115 degrees. It is going to be unbearable.
Jesus!
Outside through today, tomorrow, all the way through Thursday, this heat is going to continue. So if we do take a look at how long the heat's going to stick around, again, widespread heat advisories, excessive heat warnings in effect all the way through Thursday, and it encompasses a lot of the central United States. And again, it's not expected to be record-breaking.
Speak American, warlord.
It's record-breaking excessive heat that we'll be dealing with because of the heat indices and the humidity. So again, today, it's wrapping around that area of high pressure. But what also we're seeing is a little bit of severe weather around the outside band of that high pressure. So that's something that we're also tracking: the heat, the smoke, and the chance for severe weather as we step out today. Tomorrow, that
it's cooler here right now.
The high pressure system gets even stronger, and then by Thursday or Wednesday, that's the day that our eyes are all going to be on. And this heat again is going to continue through Thursday. Those areas in purple all the way from the south.
And I have air conditioning. It is 69 in my apartment.
Even including some of the Great Plains states. This is going to be a big issue again through the mid to later parts of this week. So heat safety is easily going to be top priority out there. Reed, back to you.
All right, thank you. Our video monitors help us jump the map to Canada, where the military now joins in the fight against this fire in Jasper, Alberta.
Wow.
Reports from that part of the world, a chilling reality. Nearly 1/3 of that historic town is now destroyed.
Well, Jasper's famous national parks in Canada. It is known around the world for its breathtaking natural beauty. An estimated 400,000 Americans visit here every year. But this roadblock right now is about as close as people can get. The town of Jasper is still considered a disaster area. Now, none of the 5,000 residents have been allowed to return home, but firefighters took us downtown to see the devastation and how much they were able to save. Now, firefighters say a wall of flames about 300 feet high was approaching the town, but they had practiced for this, so they were safely able to evacuate 25,000 tourists and residents. They also saved critical infrastructure like the hospital and schools. And aside from a few hotspots right now, the fire in Jasper is pretty much out. But about 1/3 of the buildings in the town were wiped out. The mayor, the fire chief, and even the local incident commander on this fire lost her home. You knew your neighborhood was burning, but you also know, being right down the block, that there was nothing you could do to save it.
I knew that our firefighters that were out there were trying everything they can. And I think, for residents who may be wondering, how come my house wasn't saved? It's because they saved the infrastructure that will allow the rest of town to come back in. So our wastewater treatment plant, for example, took 3 years to build.
There is still no timeline for residents to return to Jasper.
Very understanding.
Still burning deep in the surrounding forest, and we're told it could be 3 months or more before they're able to get it under control.
Jesus!
CBS News, Hinton, Alberta.
Carter, thanks. From hero firefighters to hero scouts in
3 months before they can get it under control? Did I hear that correctly? Did I not catch the ads? Are you guys getting ads right now? Any of you that aren't subbed? I tried to play with them for a little bit. I switched them to where if I did not play them automatically, or if they played automatically, they'd be 4 minutes. But if I played them, they would be 3 minutes. Like now, I don't have control over them. It's weird. So I don't know what's going on. Extreme heat in the west, fires, earthquakes, flooding in Dollywood, in East Tennessee. You saw the band of severe storms that she was showing you when we did the weather forecast? This is part of that band of severe storms. It had been absolutely fucking dry for the last month and a half.
Just continue to follow everybody.
My grass had completely died out in front of my apartment. It has rained for like 3 days straight, and the grass has come back. I was looking at it today, I was like, God damn, this is pretty resilient. I mean, it had pretty much died. Damn. Flash flooding, a big problem all along that band that we saw earlier. From Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Outside of Gatlinburg. About an hour away from Knoxville. Hey, Warlord, you still here? I guess there were no ads. I guess we can go on, just keep doing news. Warlord not here. National tragedy over in the UK as at least 8 people stabbed, including multiple children.
News 24/7, we're following a tragic and developing story overseas. Police have arrested a 17-year-old accused of stabbing at least 8 people in Northwest England. Many of the victims are children. Police say they were called to an address in Southport, north of Liverpool, just around noon local time. They say the violent scene unfolded near a yoga and dance studio where a Taylor Swift event for children ages 6 to 11 was taking place. We want to take you now to the UK where authorities are giving an update on this attack. Let's listen.
Stab wounds sustained during the attack, and 2 adults are also in a critical condition after being injured during the incident. A 17-year-old male from Banks in Lancashire, who is originally from Cardiff, has been arrested on suspicion of murder and attempted murder. And is being taken to a police station where he will be interviewed by detectives. My officers were called to reports of a stabbing at 11:47 this morning and at a address in Southport. When they arrived, they were shocked to find that multiple people, many of whom were children, had been subjected to a ferocious attack and had suffered serious injuries.
I've probably fucked that up, but good evening, my friend.
Attending a Taylor Swift event at a dance school when the offender, armed with a knife, walked into the premises.
I mean, have you heard Taylor Swift? She makes me violently ill as well. You'll give me a phonetical pronunciation, I'll take another stab at it. Kind of like the 17-year-old in the UK that was stabbing children.
Started to attack inside the children. We believe that the adults who were injured were bravely trying to protect the children.
Why am I like this?
Attacked. As a mum and a nana, I can't begin to imagine the pain and suffering that the families of the victims are going through at this moment in time, and I wish to send my heartfelt condolences to them. Our specialist family liaison officers are providing support to the families of the deceased children and the children who were injured at this moment in time. And we'll be working with our partners, including Sefton Council, to provide that wider trauma support to those who've been affected by this incident. The investigation is in its early stages and the motivation for the incident remains unclear. However, counter-terrorism
Taylor
police
Swift
West have offered their support to Merseyside police as the full circumstances of what has happened are being established. At this moment in time, the investigation is not being treated as terrorist-related. I would appeal to anyone who's witnessed anything or who has information.
I think the Tay Swiftie fans should protest. It's a hate crime against Taylor fans. Clearly. "17-year-old arrested in connection to the stabbing. 2 children killed, 9 other people." It was like 7 children and 2 adults were injured. Only 2 on the body count. That's not how you do it. Let me show you how you do it in America, son. Why am I like this?
Coverage continues now with Natalie Kutchko, who's also been at the scene of the shooting today, speaking with neighbors.
Just have it in New York.
Continue to canvass the area for evidence. She joins us now with how those who live nearby are responding. Natalie.
Adam, as you could see in that live shot, still a very active crime scene at this hour, as it was all throughout the day today, as investigators with RPD combed through the evidence, specifically in search of shell casings from the shooters responsible for this crime. Those we heard from today say this is not the norm for the neighborhood to this magnitude, and that includes one elected official.
This magnitude.
Hopes a solution can be reached in order to begin to move forward.
This is upstate New York, not New York City.
In the moments after chaos ensued at Rochester's Maplewood Park Sunday, sirens can be heard nonstop. Witnesses say hundreds came running through the streets in waves.
People running down the street, getting in their cars. I got out, ask if I could help.
Zachary Pelletera is a newly hired EMT in Rochester and says he immediately tried to render aid to any of the bystanders when he came upon the scene on his way home. He's lived in the Maplewood Park area all his life, and like others close by, something of this magnitude was a first.
It's unbelievable. It's just sad. Sad that human life has gotten to this point where you have no respect for other individuals. There's no explanation for it other than it's demonic. It's
demonic.
Assembly members
They're inspired by the Olympics.
in the Maplewood neighborhood and represents the district. She too was home at the time, and while she was too far to hear the shots ring out, she witnessed the aftermath.
It's really hard. I mean, I'm a mom. I have a mom of 3 kids. My children played at this park. We've been at this playground multiple times when they were younger. To think that there were families,
you know, it's the devil,
kids, and then there was sort of this very callous and evil act of indiscriminately shooting. It's just terrifying to think about. I know our community is rattled. I know everyone's very rattled about it. It doesn't just affect those who are here. It affects, the whole.
That's something the devil would say
Clark
clinically.
says she had no previous concerns about the safety of the park or the frequency of patrols nearby. As the neighborhood looks to rebuild and move forward, she says it won't
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
Federal definition, this should be considered a mass shooting. And that comes with a whole host of resources. This park, it's always going to have that feeling to it now, right, for those who are here, and that takes a long time. We saw it at the Boys and Girls Club when there was a shooting years ago, and it just sits with you for a really long time. It's hard to see.
I am the devil.
And as mentioned again, anyone
I am here to do the devil's work.
any slightest of detail that could lead police to the suspects responsible are asked to call 911, the RPD Major Crimes Unit, or Crime Stoppers, that number there on your screen, 585-423-9300.
Apparently nobody died. That's good, at least. Because that was not the outcome that happened in California earlier today. Where a suspected burglary ended with a standoff. No, I said it was a good thing, Venus. I was just expecting mass shooting in the U.S. I even introed it with like, hey, watch, we can do a better body count than you're stabbing in the UK.
LA's mid-city area where there's been a deadly police shooting. It began with a suspected home burglary. KTLA's Alina Abovian live at the scene with the latest for us. Alina, good morning.
Frank, good morning. That's right. 3 suspects in custody and 1 suspect fatally shot. Now, take a look behind me. You can see detectives are here, and we're set up for a press conference slated to happen any minute now. They are going to brief us and update us on all the details still outstanding as far as this investigation goes. Now, this is Beverly Wood and Helm Avenue, and as you can see, it is still closed off here. A SWAT team is still here. Detectives are here, which is pretty standard protocol when it comes to an officer-involved shooting. But take a look at this video. This is from earlier this morning. Sky 5 was overhead, and you can see the suspect's body covered in front of the lawn of the house. The suspect was shot around 7 this morning. We're hearing the suspect crawled from a side window and stood in the driveway, then allegedly began charging at officers. What? And that's when officers opened fire, ultimately killing the suspect. Now, it's unclear if the suspect was armed and if there was any sort of exchange of gunfire. It all started around 3:30 this morning. Police got a call about a burglary in progress. We don't know if anyone was home at the time, if an alarm went off, or who called police. When officers arrived, they were able to catch and take into custody 3 suspects. 1 suspect, however, remained inside the home.
Feel like crack was involved. I hate to judge people.
I was on crack.
Right. Well,
I'm just saying, what brings those 3 people together? I feel like it's crack cocaine.
Barricading himself inside, prompting a standoff that lasted several hours this morning. A SWAT team was called at some point. Also, a fire was reported. LAFD responded. We did see some smoke from the house. We don't know to what extent the house was damaged. Now back out here live again, you can see that detective. They're getting ready for a press conference this morning. But
fuck
for
that
now,
dude.
That is the very latest. I'm Lena Bovin reporting live.
ACAB means him too.
To you in the studio.
Thank you, Alina. There was apparently a mass burglary that took place in Oakland. I would say it was both, but usually when you're on crack, you don't want pizza.
Latest commercial burglary. Burglars kicked down doors and ransacked 16 businesses in the troubled Hagenberger corridor. They're all located inside an office building on Collins Drive, right behind the Denny's restaurant on Hagenberger that shut down
Not the Denny's.
this year, citing crime. Dial in is live there as business owners and workers are cleaning up the mess. Stop.
Yeah, they are cleaning up indeed. They finished vacuuming most of the broken glass, as you can see from this broken door here, but there's still a lot of damage on this second floor right here. You can see this right here belongs to a business. Yeah, that was kicked open. Here's another door right here, also kicked open. Now, each suite belongs to a single business. As you can see, many doors, many businesses here.
I hate his hair. Why do you have it slicked back like that, dude? Why do you have... How much grease do you have in your hair?
Here's another door. You can see kicked down right here. The lock fell to the ground. So a lot of damage throughout this location here. We're talking about...
Like a 50s greaser.
We're talking about nonprofit organizations, even a barber shop.
Go to that barber shop and get a new haircut. Dial in.
Surveillance footage captured thieves kicking down a door. As people search through the business, you can hear more burglars kicking down other doors in the background. It's unclear how many thieves were inside. Building co-owner Ken Houston says the thieves cut through 2 layers of fencing to get into the property around 2:30 Saturday morning.
And you can see the fresh cut marks on here, the fresh cut.
Burglars first.
Good camera work.
Podcast studio in a shipping container.
And we have a podcast unit where we teach.
I wish I had that hair. I wish I had his hairline for sure.
And where you can speak your voice. They use a crowbar.
If I had that hairline, I would not do that to it. It was a
They bust
shame.
the window here.
Shelly, good evening.
All our computer tops, laptops, mics, cameras.
That was just the beginning. After they cleaned out the podcast studio, thieves broke a back door to go into the office building.
Look at this, Doc.
That's one less podcast.
Damn. Look at this. Right here, you can see where they kicked it in.
The burglars kicked down almost every single door to ransack.
Look on the bright side.
And they kicked this one open. And this tenant just moved in here. You can see her boxes. She's just moving in. So you think she's going to want to stay here with this happening to her? I don't think so.
16 businesses in this two-story building, most of them black-owned, and a few Hispanic businesses. The businesses range from construction to a barber shop.
Born and raised in Oakland, it's more a disappointment because
really dramatic
to be, and now you have to stay on alert. You got to remain vigilant.
Barber Chris Prater discovered the break-in when he opened his shop at 9 o'clock in the morning. He called 911.
A lot of loyal, good people come and say support local businesses, but how long can it last when you have constant crime?
As small minority businesses, when things happen like this, it's just a big setback. And it can have some people shut their doors down.
We live in a place where, you know, people just feel like they can get away with crime, and you know, it's sad, you know, real sad.
Yeah, it said they went after you guys.
My laptop with my all my business information on it, bank accounts, everything. So now I have to call.
Go to the rich neighborhood.
Everything.
The thieves left with cash, tools, laptops, and other valuables.
They've got insurance, but it is a fucking headache to make claims.
Other department heads came to visit the office building and this dead-end street because of ongoing crime concerns related to the homeless.
And it could be a while, up to a year or more.
After Denny's shut down, and now workers and customers have to drive past the encampment to get to the office building.
We need help to keep this city alive, because if they leave, what's going to happen with this area? If they leave, what's going to happen? Look what's right there. The only reason why it's not down here is because of the activity, the
Gavin,
we have out here, and the blocks that was placed here to stop them from blocking and parking and on the sidewalk. If we weren't here, it'd be a wrap, Doc. It would be a wrap.
The business owners say the thieves may not be connected to the encampment, but it highlights the many challenges they face.
I doubt they're connected to the encampment.
Is to survive.
I'm a son of Oakland, Doc. I feel like leaving. I feel so down right now.
We're now live on the first floor.
Structural issues, though.
Here you can see it's now boarded up. And on this side, this is a flooring company. And you can see the damage right here. Glass door broken. Folks ransacked this place, took off. I'm going to keep you guys walking right here. Here is another office right here. See this door, the violence that they put in here? They kicked and pretty much destroyed this door here. So all throughout first
the violence they put into it.
A lot of damage. Now, they were in the process of setting up surveillance cameras, so very limited footage available. Oakland police did show up about 3 hours after the first 911 call. They took the...
Oh, he totally talked to him for like an hour. They had so much footage they had to cut of that dude. He had so much to say. Who is Nikola Jokic? Did I know who this is? Nikola Jokic. He's apparently a basketball player. Plays for the Denver Nuggets. Really good tennis player. Sure it's not basketball? I don't know. You might be right. There might be two of them. I just saw basketball player come up when I Googled. Well, apparently his brother was charged in a confrontation that was caught on camera.
The brother of Nikola Jokic has been charged with assault for punching a man during a Nuggets playoff game back in April.
Oh, okay.
Investigators first broke the story today. Now, when it happened, video of that...
Yeah, that dude had a similar name, Ducky. You're right.
Investigative reporter Jeremy Hijola learned a lot about the charge.
They like banned him from Australia or some shit.
Yeah, Tom, you'll remember it was a playoff game between the Nuggets and the Timberwolves last April. While Nikola Jokic was shooting baskets on the court, in the stands, his brother was throwing a punch that now has him facing potential jail time. This video was widely shared on social media that night. It shows Strahinja Jokic punching a fan in the face. According to court documents, the fan suffered a concussion. When police contacted the fan, he initially did not want to press charges because he feared retaliation and for his family's safety. But then the fan changed his mind after a visit to the doctor's office and that diagnosis. When investigators approached Strahinja about it, he claimed he was defending an older man in the stands. Now, this is not Strahinja's first arrest in Denver. He was actually arrested and charged with felony assault in 2019 after a domestic violence incident with a woman. She claims Strahinja grabbed her phone during a fight and prevented her from calling police. He ended up pleading guilty to a single misdemeanor charge of telephone obstruction in that case. That prior arrest could play a factor in this newest assault charge.
A case like this where you have it on videotape and you have an admission by the suspect that he did indeed commit the alleged offense, but he did it in defense of another. Those are pretty good evidence, pieces of evidence for a prosecutor to work with.
Now, the penalty for misdemeanor assault in the third degree is up to 364 days in jail. Strahinja Jokic is due in court on this charge on August 21st for his arraignment.
Wow.
We can safely assume prosecutors will bring up his prior arrest with the judge. Live in the studio, Jeremy Hohola, 9 News.
And
well, I hope he gets what's coming to him. Go back to New York where this is insane. A crane tipped over on a house. Luckily, no one was injured. Don't believe we have a news report. This is video. It's not a still shot. No action going on though. Here's a guy surveying. I don't know. I don't think you should stand that close, to be completely honest with you. I'm not exactly sure, Flash. Crews are on the scene Monday to remove a large crane truck that overturned onto a New York home. Police and rescue crews arrived to a home on Sandra Drive in Wanetskill. The homeowner said the large crane was there to remove a tree. According to the homeowner, there were no injuries. The power has been shut off to the area while crews worked to remove the crane that also severed power lines. Other angles of it, because this is wild looking. Look, I didn't even think it hooked too big of a chunk. That makes perfect sense. From a crane truck tipping over to a train derailment. A 17-year-old YouTuber apparently arrested for a train derailment.
A train derailment caught on camera. This is the frightening scene on a railroad track in Bennett, Nebraska.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
You can hear the terrified voice of a young man in the background as he watched the startling scene unfold. The crash occurred between two coal trains. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but it did cause damage.
And a viewer caught the whole thing on camera and sent it in to us.
This TV station aired the video, but the teenager who recorded the derailment is allegedly responsible for it, according to prosecutors. They say surveillance video around the area shows the 17-year-old setting up his camera 4 minutes before the derailment. Authorities say the teen denied trespassing in the area, but they believe he flipped the switch to cause the crash. The teen was arrested and faces criminal mischief charges, a felony in Nebraska. Prosecutors are efforting to have him tried as an adult in court.
He just flipped a switch? He didn't put something on the tracks?
This is Inside Edition Digital.
Huh. All you had to do was flip a switch? Buddy, you've got to... God damn it. I love this cat, but Jesus. He comes up here, he drools all over me, he's clawing the shit out of my leg. Energy Flow, good evening. Felony mischief does kind of sound fun. Oh, okay, fair enough clinically. If the switch flip resulted in a tighter turn, the train would have been going too fast. It looked like it hit something, though. Maybe he flipped the switch and it went on to a different track where there were cars on the track. So, apparently Comic-Con was going on. They announced something about Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Doom. But Jennifer Garner was there, and she got stuck in an elevator.
Jennifer Garner was stuck in an elevator for more than an hour at Comic-Con.
Guys, we're stuck on this elevator. I need, could use a Wolverine, I could use a Deadpool, I could use someone. We're 11 minutes into elevator sit.
Something like group
it's
or independent?
toasty. I think I heard on an episode of like The Office or Brooklyn Nine-Nine or something, you're supposed to sit, so we're sitting about an hour. If we're beeping now.
We have lights back on.
That's good stuff. Can you imagine, like, what if Ryan Reynolds actually, like, opened the door? The actress documenting the entire ordeal on social media. About 45 minutes in, she was singing 99 bottles of beer on the wall. Finally, after an hour and 12 minutes, firefighters arrived to crack open the doors, prompting cheers from Garner and her team. She did make it to the Deadpool and Wolverine screening, where she makes a special cameo appearance.
Hello, I'm Mark. Apparently everybody has a cameo. Even Mark Brown has a fucking cameo. They probably gave Lester Holt a cameo. I like Jennifer Garner better than Jennifer Aniston, I think. Jennifer Aniston doesn't seem very nice. You don't like Jennifer Garner better than Jennifer Aniston? Well. Jennifer Aniston gets fake oil thrown at her while filming the morning show. I don't know what the morning show is. All celebrities probably suck. Kevin, good evening. Lester is a fugitive. Oh, it's some fictional. I thought she was on some morning talk show. Apparently it's a show she's doing with somebody else. Oh, you don't have a cameo. Oh, okay. The Friends star appeared to be filming a scene in which her character Alex was surrounded by protesters who flung oil at her. Wait a minute, she didn't actually get oil thrown at her? I got had again. I thought somebody actually threw oil at her. Damn it, I was all excited. I think I found it on Facebook, to be honest with you, Venus. Anyway, let's get kicked off of Twitch. You want to get kicked off of Twitch?
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
Olympics bulge bonanza. A French diver is going viral at the 2024 Olympics, not just for his aquatic skills, but proving size might in fact matter. Excitable fans went wild online over Jules Boyer at the Paris Games, sharing pics of the soaked springboard diver after one of his recent events.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Oh my God, Curiouser shows up for this. A key angle of Boyer from the side gives fans an up-close and personal view of his junk in the trunk, which certainly thrilled international audiences. This isn't his first time he's made everyone go wild at the Olympics. Just days earlier, he dove into the spotlight with a welcome to Paris eye candy pic alongside diving partner Alexis Gendard. Postmodern Prometheus. You got here just in time for Cox.
I can't wait to have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
I got the analytics. I know that my audience is like 60% identifying as female. Cox out for Harambe. Both were teasing a peek of what's underneath their tiny swimsuits, and safe to say, folks were impressed. What's this little twinkie body here? Oh, he's got a whole gallery. TMZ put together a whole gallery of this dude. Not really my type. But he's got a nice dick. Jules Boyer. So this is the pic that had people going crazy. Definitely saw some friends share this one out. Anyway, also, Curiouser, I hope you're still here. You would be excited to know that tonight you can apparently catch a double meteor shower. I think it's tonight. Might be later this week.
A double meteor shower set to light up the night sky this week. It's the Southern Delta Awkwards that are going to be most active tonight through early tomorrow.
Shelly, the USA men's delicious gymnastics team. There's an adjective in there that, like, did they call themselves delicious? Are they competing in like the 35-mile delicious? Like, or are you saying they're delicious? No more dongs. I've got some pussy for you next. I got pussy for you after this.
Meteor shower set to light up the night sky this week. It's the southern delta awkwards that are going to be most active tonight through early tomorrow. Tomorrow night, it's the minor shower alpha caprinoids, if I'm saying that right, known for its bright fireballs. They will be lighting up the sky. Tuesday and Wednesday expected to be the best nights to see this. To check out this show, southern delta is spread out rather evenly over the next couple of nights. We know Tuesday and Wednesday, again, the best nights for that. Tuesday will overlap and Wednesday will be for the moon. Tomorrow and Wednesday, it will overlap as well.
So, a lot of sky shit going on this week. Enjoy, you sky nerds. I know you guys love that shit. You eat it up. I promised you pussy. You absolutely get pussy.
From the White House to a Puerto Rican coffee shop. From 10 Downing Street to Russia's State Museum. Cats are beloved mascots and visitor favourites at institutions.
It has been raining here.
We called her Lilybet because of our neighbour just across the way, of course, Buckingham Palace, and we wanted to honour Queen Elizabeth, our dear neighbour, by calling our little cat Lilybet, which was her nickname.
Lilybed?
She's the oldest member of the Tanat, basically. Everyone apart from the owners and her have changed during the years. Yeah, she is very much the soul of the place.
In Puerto Rico, 2 other cats found hospitality in the world of hospitality. They moved in and became mascots.
Everyone had some little bit of background.
About 80 cats get to call the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg home in return for keeping the pest population.
Bragwitz, good evening.
They even have their own press officer and a staff of volunteers.
Thank you.
I believe they are a little bit of an extra draw. We have visitors that come here for Hemingway, and then once they see the cats and they love them, then it's like they visit again so they can come back and see.
I did this the other day and I had a lot of fun doing this. So I want to start making it a regular segment. I'm gonna start shouting out some lurkers. Nitro Gold, I fucking love you. I'm glad you're here tonight.
See the cat.
His bed and his food and everything is in the sacristy where the vergers and the clergy get robed and everything, and he's in there.
I'm not ready to leave. Let's get more high.
He likes to go to the shop to get lots of treats.
It's become this kind of a, iconic thing to see him in Downing Street. Even kids who go to visit Downing Street, the first thing they do is they ask about Larry, not the Prime Minister.
Fucking A, anonymous gifter. Hell yeah. Venus redeeming some goddamn. Hit me with all kinds of weed.
People play Rupee Cat, and it just brings
Princess Kimberly
joy to a rather boring day of coffee.
Goddamn, that's a lot of weed. That's a lot of weed hits. Fucking shit.
From the
That's a bong and another bong.
Puerto Rican coffee shop. From 10 Downing Street to Russia's State Museum.
Well, fuck. If I gotta take that many fucking hits, let me go get a fucking. Let's get a police chase. I have several saved. We'll get a police chase going on. Let's make sure one's not going on right now. I wish I had everything set up for fucking around stream. I'd just turn off YouTube and turn on music. I do not have it set up though. We'll do a police chase. The Michael Bay. I'm so glad. The underscore Michael Bay. I'm so glad to have you here, my friend. Thank you for being a freaking lurker. I've been thinking to add it to the points. You guys can redeem it and have me shout out a lurker at any time. It's okay if you're just hanging out in here watching the news. Find out what that news be doing. You weren't in chat. I think it's a lot more fun that the show is interactive, but I try to put on a show that people would, sit down and watch later. Like after like a day or two, it's probably not as pertinent since we do topical stories and it's the news, but I think you can watch it in the next day or so, and it's still got some value to it. That one's too long. I don't want to watch one that's that long. God, all these are fucking long. They're all incredibly long. We'll put it on double speed. Go with LAPD chasing down a box truck. This happened about a year ago. Blackmailing the lurkers. I want to be welcoming. I like giving people shout outs. So, I think it's a friendly thing. I think it's endearing. I hope. Maybe that's why they're lurkers. They don't want to be shouted out. Damn. Lurkers, if you don't respond to this, it's because you're touching yourself. God damn! Calling people out. Should I be honored that people are touching themselves to this content? Thread saving the channel points for when I get a caller, so you can do no cursing. Smokey, you really got to stop, dude. I am so tired of you right now. It's on double speed.
Ventura County handles it. We can lose altitude now and go through that hole there because of our signal. We'll be fine here.
Probably too fast. Let's do speed and a half.
Just how they handle this as we come up into this area of Ventura County. And there's the clouds you're talking about. Fortunately, we can descend quite a bit now and still get our signal because of where we're at. At least I hope so, and we're trying. But you get an idea what we're dealing with as far as the weather conditions. It is very wet now. Certainly when
God damn it.
Tell how slick the conditions are. And now we're coming up into that area where, we're going to start to cross over, and we're going to head up into...
There we go. Here we go.
And we continue to
We'll get to the good shit.
Stolen truck on the 101 southbound. This is Ventura Freeway. We're not sure where he is at this point, but he was making his way back from Camarillo.
No, it's still double
This is
speed.
why authorities began the chase, is what we understand.
Let it slow back down.
This is the best look we've had of this person. It does look like if it's a male driver. We haven't known at this point because of the direction, but that right there is one of the reasons I also think that sometimes he drives somewhat erratically. Is he's looking.
I can't fix it.
I just think sometimes he just keeps a straight line.
I'm having a lot of trouble out of this is Opera browser. I've been having a shit ton of trouble out of it. I was using Internet Explorer. And then it started having issues.
On the 101 southbound, this is Ventura Freeway. We're not sure where he is at this point, but he was making his way back from Camarillo. And again, this is a stolen truck. This is why authorities began the chase, is what we understand. A single driver in the vehicle, as far as we know.
Shitty 80s music. How are you hearing shitty 80s music?
We haven't known at this point because of the direction, but that right there is one of the reasons I also think that sometimes he drives somewhat erratically, is he's looking around in the cab. He's reaching across.
Yeah, Internet Explorer is no longer supported. It's Edge now.
Following and staying in lanes because he's just simply driving without concern.
Microsoft Edge.
And it's hard to drive these large vehicles. It really is. I mean, you have to have a lot of experience to be able to.
Oh, I owe you guys some weed hits. Hold on, let me get something to drink.
Are remarkable.
Yeah. Exactly. So he's going about just under 50 miles an hour right now, but we have seen some very aggressive driving from this suspect, driving on the wrong side of the road, clipping a vehicle. Nothing serious. No one was hurt, but he is determined to get away.
And I think, you bring up a great point about the lack of being able to see what's around you. And as it looks like this person was thinking about getting off on the exit, but whenever this guy was getting in congested traffic, you're not going to know if somebody is right there to your right.
I feel like the cats may be upset with
probably
me and
can
want
see
something
them, but
from
not on the right. And so when he was just driving, I think those.
God damn, how many times did you guys hit weed?
If anybody was there or not, he couldn't see them probably, and he didn't really care. So when he would go to the left, there's a chances that he could see what was there a little better. But what's interesting about this right now is, again, it's just freeway speeds. And there are people who are driving faster than this person. And so we've seen cars right now. This little minivan is driving faster and going past. So it's not so much the speed, but the impatience and the recklessness and the willingness to do whatever to continue moving forward for this truck that I think is
10 hits.
That's right. And we have seen evidence of law enforcement in pursuit initially. And then, as you know, we've been saying, they pulled back.
I think I got another bowl packed over here, too.
Northern part of PCH, no one was following him. There was no evidence of any patrol vehicles. That would be through sort of the
put the bong down for a second.
Department jurisdiction. But then when he moved into Camarillo, we did see 4 CHP officer patrol cars gain on him.
I mean, it says fast delivery on the side.
More aggressive driving from the suspect, and they pulled back.
Well, and that was, I think, if those 4 officers, or 1, it started as 1 and then all of a sudden there were 4, but if they all of a sudden decided, hey, now may be a chance, they got proof, or they got more evidence that what LAPD and what the sheriff had decided to do was the best course of action. Because as soon as that move was made that we saw on videotape just a moment ago,
great advertising for Lowe's,
Ventura County, right in that Camarillo area, that was proof that, hey, he's still very aware that he doesn't want to be caught.
Exactly. And we have Bruce Thomas on the line, law enforcement expert. Thank you so much for talking with us. Can you shed some light or some insight on the strategy on the law enforcement side in this case?
Yeah, in this case, you're dealing with a vehicle that has substantial weight and size. So some of the typical things you may want to do
down big boy.
A pit maneuver are probably out the window. Your best course of action would be a spike strip on this type of vehicle.
Well, and even that's
a lot of fun,
isn't it, Bruce? Because of the rate of speed.
Like you and a loved one.
Put officers at risk, and this vehicle is
you and your significant other
size and
edging for hours, watching porn.
Without, if you all of a sudden lost air pressure, I mean, there's risk involved.
Amazing.
As well, yeah.
Llama, good evening.
Correct, Philip. Yeah, I mean, ideally the spike strip will deploy what we'll call little pitons inside the tire, which lets the air out very, very slowly. It seems like CHP...
There are a lot of box trucks here.
It may have a strategy of let's try to slow traffic behind it, create an operational zone area to follow, or maybe do some intervention with this truck.
Wow, look at this, look at this. There's contact. He ran into another box truck, and what's interesting is he was absolutely looking at the vehicle as he hit him. And now the question is, does that box truck pull over, or does
he did it on purpose?
And that is a concern there, because now look, the box truck that was hit is still pursuing the suspect vehicle. So
wait, what?
Does that change things for CHP? You can't have a road rage incident in addition to a chase.
Yeah, that was very interesting that he hit the other box truck. And the box truck may be under the impression of, hey, I'm going to follow this guy, get information to file a police report.
Right.
So CHP is going to have to intervene and pull that other box truck over.
Yeah, because they have no idea. There's no police around. So the second vehicle has no idea that this is a pursuit suspect. And by the way, doesn't know if the person's armed, doesn't know if the person's dangerous, doesn't know if that truck has been stolen. But now look, he's coming up, and we've got to see what he's got.
He's giving a piece of his mind.
Situation question, get on the phone.
Oh, shit.
They'll give you the proper information and dictate what you should do.
And now the box truck is getting off the freeway here. Is this the Thousand Oaks exit?
But look quickly, this person's coming up on an intersection here, and we don't know how they're going to play this, driving through the intersection, passing on the right, all the while. Now,
Whoa!
See if he tries to take an exit and get over there with him, because again, I keep going back to the person in this Mr. Tire Truck thinks that he's got a hit and run on his hands.
Right.
And so now, look, he might try to stop him. If he gets in front of the suspect vehicle behind, if he tries to slow down, again, creating more danger for the people.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, wow, another.
This is why you just don't do this,
he
because
is trying to stop him.
Absolutely. And now look at this. And where is CHP at this point, Bruce? What is he?
Fucking fuck.
CHP is trying to intervene as quickly as they can because this Mr. Tire Truck is taking positive action.
This is awesome.
There's the CHP there.
But I keep looking at all of the people on the highway right now, watching this occur, not realizing what's going on. And the Mr. Tire Truck, again, he thinks he's trying to stop a hit-and-run vehicle, but the person could be armed in that vehicle because it was stolen. We don't know how it was stolen. And then for the person in the second box truck to be rear-ended, at that point, even if you thought you were just getting information, you can't re-engage, right, Bruce? I mean, at some point, you have to understand life and property are at risk here.
But my question is, what can the CHP do about this? I mean, what can they do?
Well, taking Philip's question first.
Okay.
Obviously, you don't want to intervene and put yourself in a position of risking your life or other people's lives. It's a hit and run. Pull out of the side of the road. He doesn't know CHP is there, but they will engage him and get him involved as far as all the legal paperwork and everything.
Oh, you damn right. This is uniquely American.
And Giovanna, if you could repeat your question.
My question is, what can you do about this situation as a CHP?
Violently American.
Well, they got to pull over the Mr. Tire Truck and get him to disengage.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
No.
They've got to get that other truck out of the problem because they can't do anything legally or lawfully and safely until you get that other truck out of the way. And at this point, that driver is hell-bent on stopping that truck.
Well, and the danger to commuters anywhere near these two vehicles at this size, if one
he's still cussing him out,
spun out and running into other vehicles, you're potentially causing great harm to other people. Look at this.
Oh my goodness, he is intent on getting that.
Bringing him to stop.
CHP's got to catch up to Mr. Tire and pull him over to let him know what's going on, right?
Yeah, now he's intervening again, and CHP has got to get there and solve this issue.
Well, CHP is following the suspect vehicle. Mr. Tire has now pulled over. We don't know what he's going to do, but I'm sure CHP will be up quickly. So now the suspect vehicle is turning off of the freeway. It looks like that is Windsor or Jan's Road, but has definitely pulled off the freeway. I guess he just decided he didn't want to deal with that other box truck. Air 7HD, if we can get them to pull up on that's the suspect vehicle there. The other vehicle is on the highway.
Yeah, the main point to both of your points is don't get involved.
Yes.
Notice it's
we hear
just
that.
rained a little bit.
Viewers are hearing that too.
That usually makes the roads more slick than what they would be if they, if it was raining heavily.
Well, we saw him try to.
Because it brings the oil up to the.
One would tell you immediately to pull back. But this is where the Lowe's truck actually ran into Mr. Tire. Mr. Tire and another box truck were simply driving along. I believe, as anyone, somebody hits you, rips.
I'd like to think that YouTube recommends me the best chases
or something
when they're older,
and then you're going to be upset. But look at the driver on the left. That's the live picture again.
This happened about a year ago.
Shown recklessness on the freeway, the engagement with another box truck. It's been just an aggressively violent, rageful act between these two guys. And then now you've got this box truck that has left the highway, probably wanting to get away from the other box truck who was just absolutely engaging with him, but continues to try to get away. So, Bill, do we just resume?
I would totally love a threesome in a BLT.
And they kind of let this play out again? Or does what happened on the freeway change everything?
Well, I think, he seems to be in some sort of residential area, and he's doing, 40, 50 miles.
Always like something extra other than just the BLT. I never understood the appeal of a BLT.
In that area is.
But, there is something about it with the simplicity of the bacon, the lettuce, and the tomato.
basically going to
Like
have
just those flavors
this pursuit, and then take him into custody.
are amazing.
Coordinated response.
When we were talking to Scott Reif earlier, he mentioned a lot of these trucks.
I prefer a little mayo too.
You talk
Okay, a lot of mayo. Anyone that knows me knows it's a lot of mayo.
They catch up with him later? Is that possible?
Yeah, a lot of these type vehicles have low jack or teletrack type issues, so their dispatch can track them as they finish their route or do their route. That's one way to do it. Another way too is you have the helicopter, and it's kind of hard to outrun the helicopter unless weather prevents them from doing that. So even if you were to park the vehicle,
Make your own mayo.
they're going to take this person into custody, and they're going to follow.
I grew up on Hellman's. So
Well, as we look at the live,
if I always have a jar of Hellman's,
right out into oncoming
just in
traffic.
case.
So it's not as if this guy has suddenly begun driving safely. There's still some impatience and aggressiveness that you're seeing right there, passing a truck in the turn lane into what could be oncoming traffic, and now approaching another intersection in that turn lane. We're going to see if this person is going to just go straight. They did. So again, using the turn lane. Why into oncoming traffic there?
Doesn't need to.
Again, this is such a danger for people who have no idea what's going on, and all of a sudden they're staring at the grill of a box truck.
Yeah, this guy has definitely shown a wanton disregard for public safety.
And we talk about the speeds in this circumstance. It's not horrible, but it's still 50 roughly miles an hour in areas that are probably 35, and you're driving one of these big trucks and certainly not making a stop there at the red light, just cruising right on by.
Avocado would be good on a BLT.
Back in the direction of the
I
freeway.
always liked ham, like
after
ham,
the freeway,
bacon, lettuce, and tomato.
There it is, going parallel to the
But there is something about just those three flavors.
that you get off the freeway because of what was going on with the other box truck. But that's where you wanted to be in the first place.
Right.
So maybe you go through the neighborhoods and now you get back.
I'm a big club man too. I like a club sandwich.
The direction that they're going.
Yeah, we saw the freeway in the white.
I think they're back there, Quesadilla. I think they're like
right on the
back.
other side of this intersection.
The helicopter has got them.
Same freeway. There it is. Oh, no, I guess there's no on-ramp there. So.
But he turned left in front of all of those vehicles.
I think the cops are back here
Probably
somewhere.
saw the freeway, but as you mentioned, didn't know that there's not an on-ramp right there, unless maybe the right turn there will take you. So yeah, but again, even that simple move was dangerous.
The salted tomatoes are great.
And turned left in front of vehicles, and now we're looking at the 101 again.
Not sure if it's south or north.
It is. That one out. My guess is it's probably going back southbound, just because that was the direction the person was going in the first place, which would mean he might come back up on.
I'm with Thread on that one, Prometheus.
Your thoughts?
Marshmallow fluff? I don't think you can.
So Bruce, bringing you back into this, this is.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, going back to what this is a good-sized truck. It's got some weight to it. It may be loaded fully with cargo and appliances or whatever. So that creates another problem for the pursuing officers. But in this case, you just got to kind of follow the vehicle. I think if you get right up on it, and this person knows they're being chased, obviously, you may create a dangerous situation more.
No, fucking, I love tuna salad. I love tuna salad. I would never put marshmallow fluff in my tuna salad.
The suspect vehicle sideswiped a person probably just going about
Rice Krispies. I fucking love Rice Krispie treats.
over the course of about
Holy
3 minutes.
fucking shit.
Very dangerous.
One of my favorite things in the world is Rice Krispie
Trying to
treats.
get the Lowe's person to stop, but because the Lowe's person is being chased by police, he was willing to ram the Mr. Tire truck from behind. He was willing to sideswipe them and continue to go. It was a really dangerous scenario for Mr. Tire truck, and I don't even think he realized how dangerous it was, because this vehicle is stolen and has been trying to get away from police for the better.
Sour cream I can kind of get behind.
Completely unaware of.
That's kind of okay. Like if you're making a, you got like a crab salad. You put mayo and sour cream.
I would think, because Bruce, I mean, this was an unprovoked act on that person, and he just wanted them to stop and do the right thing.
I miss Mr. Tire.
Yeah, it might even be his business. It might even be his business. But Bruce, I mean, it's hard. I mean, in hindsight, yes, I'm sure you could think, okay, yes, I should have done that differently. But in the moment, I don't think
I do like a sour cream and chive chip with my tuna sandwich.
more dangerous to people all around.
Yeah.
Why is he driving that close to that car?
Not anymore. Remember, there was a whole lot going on.
Yeah, that's true.
But Bruce, when you talk about the unjustified actions,
Whole open road over there, and you're like right up in that car's business.
You're like, hey, this guy just hit me. I'm not going to.
Ida, good evening.
Even though you don't know the other part of the circumstances of this incident, but we tell people, don't get involved. Discretion is the better part of valor. Pull to the side of the road, dial 911. You just don't get involved.
What are there charges that someone could be facing in that circumstance? Maybe we can help our viewers with that as well. If you find yourself,
I like bagels. I'm a bagel guy.
Within the next 5 minutes, what happens to a person who acts in that manner? Is it usually a slap on the wrist or a ticket or say, hey, don't do that again?
You know, it elevates itself. You have a hit and run misdemeanor, meaning you have now been involved in an accident and you have not pulled over and exchanged information with the other driver. So that's one charge. The second charge, obviously, is the pursuit charge.
With the stolen truck.
The person in that Mr. Tire truck was hurt and or injured.
Well, I was talking about the charges that Mr. Tire might face. Not this
Mr. Tire.
Of charges, but for somebody who had that happen to them, I would think
no jury would convict Mr. Tire.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, are they reasonable? Yes and no. Are you frustrated? Yes. Are you upset? Yes. How dare you hit me and then drive away? But I don't think anybody...
Oh, man, Honey Nut Cream Cheese sounds amazing.
You get a very stern warning from CHP or Ventura County SO, yeah.
I mean, I understand following him. I don't think that I would get in front of him and try to stop that big truck. That might not have been the wisest thing to do.
I'm a big fan of the garden cream cheese. It has like the tomatoes and the peppers and carrots in it.
Stopping him, and it appears like it is getting rainier.
Well, going northbound.
Yeah, northbound.
And
I didn't even know it existed, Venus.
The further north we go,
I will look at my Kroger and see if I have it.
And then now we are on our streaming channel. And when we went to the stream, that's when things.
Because it sounds amazing.
There were plenty of opportunities for unhappy outcomes during our broadcast on ABC7 when this person was driving in and out of traffic. But once we went to the stream and he ran into that box truck, but that's again, it's almost exactly what we had seen.
Yeah, I am definitely getting hungry because I was planning on eating after the stream.
See the box truck, or he didn't know what he was.
I was thinking I would get off early.
Minding their own business.
And eat. And I did. I wrapped up at like 10:11 or 10:15.
The dangers of these chases is, especially in surveillance mode, the people don't realize.
I love you guys so much. You had to get me going with a.
Because they see no police officers, they see no law enforcement, and so they don't know to pull over.
Yeah, what is pineapple cheese?
Sideswipes them, and everything changes.
Right. That seems to have been an accident.
No, we got to find out what happens on this chase. I'm invested now.
But you were talking about when we went from the stream, when we started this, we were going from our linear coverage to the stream. He became very aggressive when he realized that those CHP vehicles.
Flow.
Law enforcement has made their presence known. He ratchets up the aggression and the speed and the weaving and the dangerous driving.
And Bruce Thomas stays with us here. And Bruce, when we had LAPD, we had LA County Sheriff at one point. We had Ventura probably taking a look at this, although we didn't see any law enforcement from Ventura. We did see that's when the CHP, as Giovanna was.
I love crackers.
Joined. So you've had multiple.
I love butter crackers. Those are probably my favorite.
Everybody has taken.
Justin Goonan.
Track the vehicle, but. How do things change for all?
Okay, Elon fucked up
because
Twitter, or I would make that my Twitter handle.
Yeah, I mean,
or my Twitter users. Like you change it now and you can't change it back. It's weird.
Ramming a vehicle.
Elon fucked it up because I used to just change like
getting on the freeway.
I was Justin whatever the fuck all the time.
To be in a tracking mode.
And I would change it to like shit that people called me. I would totally be Justin Goonan for a couple of weeks if I could change it again.
So in this case, it's going to be a kind of wait and see game. Maybe you can get some CHP.
So Quesadilla, this is like the 20th chase we've watched out of California, and like they're.
And you said earlier, a spike strip would be their only possible.
They're just like chilling back, like they're getting like the helicopter is following them, and the cops are riding back like.
Once it's deployed. And the little metal, I'll call them like straws.
20 car lengths at least.
It lets the air out very, very slowly. So it's almost like a controlled stop. But we have seen vehicles run on rims for a long period of time with no rubber. So it's not a.
They just kind of keep their distance because they don't want to.
If you look at this box truck, it's got 4 wheels on the back, if I'm looking at that correctly. So that makes it.
Cause things to be worse.
Is it 2 there on the back? I can't. I thought it was. But yeah, it does look like there's 2 on the back and 4 on the back. So now that makes that difficult. And you get the front, okay.
I need a waffle iron.
Deflate upwards of 6 tires if you really wanted to get down on the rims.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is...
I have a whole stand-up bit about how waffles and pancakes are the same thing, but they're really not. They're the fucking crispy-ass waffles.
That's one of the things I was thinking about earlier, because the deployment of the spike strip is not just lay it out on the street and step back safely and watch. It usually is done in between one car coming by and another car coming by, and the officer has to toss it out there. So with an unstable vehicle like this, you're really putting the officer at extreme risk.
Hey, let's do it.
To miss that spike strip and tip that vehicle over, that could be life-threatening for the officer.
Yeah, and one of the
I like pancakes, but like, damn, I'm partial to some waffles.
Santa Barbara, Oxnard. So with the low-lying clouds, law enforcement may just have to give this up and just kind of watch on the on and off ramps.
Nice crispy waffle. Oh, fuck
Well,
yeah.
Bruce, here's what we're going to do very quickly. The stream is going to continue with this. Giovanna and I are going to pause. We have some work that we have to do on ABC7.
Oh, I was about to say.
Rejoin you, and we'll continue to follow this. So we'll be silent here for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we will rejoin the chase. But the picture here on our stream will continue as authorities monitor this box truck, which was reported stolen about 2 hours ago.
I'd do some peanut butter on a waffle. Peanut butter and chocolate would definitely be my... I fucking love a Reese cup. What's for mouth fucking? I like peanut butter, but I'm definitely not putting it on everything I eat. Oh yeah, you're Canadian. Of course you put maple syrup on everything. God damn, it got rainy as fuck. We are low visibility. Luckily, it's a gigantic ass box truck, and you can see it for quite some time. Peanut butter and maple syrup on French toast. You are a madman. Did we lose? There's only like a few minutes left on this video. And they don't seem to be of this chase. We're gonna have to find the resolution. It says full chase.
You see right there the...
How are they going to do us like this? Stolen box truck suspect slams in the truck and wild freeway cash.
In Culver City involving a box truck comes to an end in Ventura with a dramatic arrest. The truck ending up stuck in a grassy area of North Bank Drive where officers fired tear gas into the cab. The suspect ran, but an officer caught him, tackled him to the ground. Officers drained the man and took him into custody.
And you got to see this. It was around 11 o'clock this morning that police began pursuing this stolen Lowe's truck. The pursuit taking them northbound on the PCH, where the suspect weaved through incoming traffic, prompting pursuing patrol vehicles to back off. At one point on the 101 near Newberry Park, the truck hit the corner of another box truck. The two trucks engaging, one blocking the other, and then the stolen truck rear-ending the other. That truck belonging to a Mr. Tire out of San Bernardino. And we spoke to one of the co-workers of the man driving that truck.
I called him like, hey man, what happened? And he just told me like, damn, this guy just bumped into me. So I started going after him because I thought he was hitting and run. So he was just, I'm gonna get the license plates and that's it. Then he realized that he was being pursued and he just went on and on and on with it until he escaped.
Socrates.
The Mr. Tire truck driver apparently trying to block the suspect. That driver is said to be okay. The business, meanwhile, now dealing with a disabled truck.
New at 6, the LAPD says it is investigating after video caught an officer punching a man who was in handcuffs and being placed under arrest.
And now a group of LA civil rights leaders is calling on the district attorney to immediately file charges against that officer. And Eyewitness News reporter Tim Pulliam is live in South LA, where a press conference was just held. Tim?
People in this community are...
Everybody on the stream falls in love with Smokey because Smokey is the one that you guys see the most. Socks doesn't get up here on my lap and shit when I'm in this chair. But Socks, when people come here in real life, Socks is the one that like melts everybody's heart. Smokey just went running through here. I think Maynard is right there. You can kind of see him like he's a silhouette in the background. He's sitting next to the, they got like a little box for it over there. And he's sitting next to it. There he goes. That's a Maynard.
From the White House to a Puerto Rican coffee shop. From 10 Downing Street to Russia's State Museum. Cats are...
I think he was pissed at me this morning.
At institutions around the world.
We called her Lilybet because of our neighbor just across the way, of course.
I think he was pissed at me this morning because it was like rainy and shit, and he likes to get his head completely wet and then lay in the sun. Like, he fucking loves that. He lay, like, I guess it's something about the wetness or something. And laying in the sunshine is like his favorite thing in the fucking world. So, like, he was yelling at me. I didn't do anything to him. He yelled at me all morning and he kept smacking the blinds. Because that's like how he gets my attention. He smacks the blinds. The other two, Smokey and Socks, they sleep with me. If I don't get up, they don't get up. They know my morning routine. They're with me until like I'm ready to like get up and fix coffee. They don't fuck with me. They don't yell at me. Maynard, on the other hand, nope. I've got to make sure I go in there and turn the water on for him. He doesn't drink out of the bowl. He drinks out of the bathtub. So he likes to get his head completely wet. What sucks that I've got one cat. One cat. One cat will protest, the other two will sleep with me. We'll stay cuddled up. Other than when like I lived in like I lived on campus. I had an apartment on campus, but I still lived on campus and they didn't allow pets. But we had a cat, like it was a stray in the like apartment complex, and we kind of took care of him, and we let him come in. Like he'd come into my apartment and shit. He'd come into like a couple other people, you know, also looked after him at the apartment complex. I like slobbery dogs. Well, fucking Smokey is a slobbery cat. He slobbered all over me when he was sitting up here. I think he might have some sort of dental issue. I don't know. Like, because like he drools a lot. I should probably go get him checked out, because not only does he drool a lot, he's just doing the Hawk Tua. Not only does he drool a lot, but he has like, he might have like kitty asthma or some shit, because I hear him when he's breathing. Well, it's like a. It sounds like me. Like honestly, I'm also like labored breathing. Cause I want to make sure my buddy's healthy. He's hitting my bong with. Well, other than that, like he's shown no signs of not being healthy. Like he doesn't have any other issues other than like I hear him breathing. He doesn't. He's a normal cat. Other than that, it's like I've never really heard a cat. I've taken them to the vet once since I've had them. They've each gone to the vet once. And they were up on their shots when I got them. Like they were taken to the vet before they came to me. Even Snicks, it's no big deal. And Socks has actually been a couple different times because I've had a couple different issues with Socks. From the little thing on his face to he was bad about getting UTIs. Flash Sonsoul was talking about like watching the Demon Mama video. I have no clue what the drama is. I should get my coat. It's not as it doesn't have the luster that it used to have. I had my own little beef with Xander at that one time. But I don't know. I have no idea what it was about. Apparently Demon Mama made like a 3-hour long video. I was just happy Sonsoul was back on Twitch. Bic Soleil. I use women's razors. I think a Bic Soleil is the best razor that you can use, best bang for your dollar. It was actually like my ex used them, and I was like, oh, this is a really good razor, and I've been using them ever since. I still owe you like a hit or two. I don't even, I've lost count of how many. You want to give me a makeover, Snicks? I've told people I'm a fixer-upper. I think women's razors. Wait a minute. Who you're wanting to give people? You're not talking about people with your X-Acto knife, are you? I don't know. I'm pretty happy with the way I am. The things I would do to myself. Okay, here's the thing. I should exercise, get myself into slightly better shape. I don't want to be buff or anything, but I should like not have trouble walking across the road. I should exercise a little bit. I would like to get some hair plugs. Spill the tea. Which Twitch streamers would you like to give a makeover to? Name names. You sent us down a rabbit hole now. Echo play. Producer Dave needs a makeover. Oh, so the trans. Usually trans women have really good taste in fashion, but I know at least one that you could be talking about. At least one. One who has incredibly good fashion sense is the cute lady we're going to go visit right now. Her name is Riverboat Jack. If you're watching on Twitch, we're going to go join the Riverboat gang. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol live.